I'm being vague maybe for a reason. I don't want to. I'm very
don't
much
commit to it either, right?
Well, I'll say this much.
Here it comes. This is it. We will hold you to your fucking word, Trevor.
We're putting in bathrooms.
Yes!
Yes!
Finally! If you guys ever been to the brew pub, you cannot whiz there.
You can totally whiz at my proposal.
You need to go
No, the new facility. The new facility is getting them.
This week we're joined by Trevor, Tim, and Matt of Old Irving Brewing to sample this year's Krampus lineup. This is episode 99 of The Malting
What's
Hour.
the haps on the hops? Got yeast, SBs. This the Molten Hour where we talk about our drink and tell you what we think every other week. And if we get drunk, well, we might slur our speech. Got the gift of gab, the friends you wish you had. Join us for a drink, join us for a laugh. Time is never wasted, where you getting wasted. The Molten Hour here, people take your places. People take your places. People take your home.
Welcome to the Malting Hour. I am one of your hosts, Tony Golick, joined always with
Brandon Whittington.
and replacing Clark's seat in the back.
Danny.
That was it, huh? No, I'm not getting used to when you switch up your name, Dan. Like Danny Hip Hops. Like sometimes I feel like it is different, right? Like you don't always say. Dan.
I say something different every time just to screw with you.
I'm gonna stop being surprised then because I'm sure as one of the listeners that I know is sitting here probably maybe gets tired of me bringing it up. We are here. This is it. This is the end of the double-digit era for the Malting Hour. No more will we only have 2 numbers for episodes. For this is episode 99, and it's an exciting one. I think this is probably going to count as our Christmas episode because we're running out of time, and what better way to celebrate Christmas than with Krampus. And we are joined with, to my left,
Trevor Rose-Hamblin, Old Irving Brewing Company.
to Trevor's left,
And Tim Broyles, also Old Irving Brewing Company.
And Matthew Moldenhauer.
you've been here. Welcome, gentlemen, and welcome back. You know, actually, all 3 of you, because technically all 3 of you have been on, Trevor, you've been on the show. Tim, you were on the show, I think, for a little bit at some point, or maybe just in the
I
beginning.
believe I might have spoken momentarily at one point.
Yeah,
I feel like I
He
did.
said a word.
yeah, your voice is definitely on the recording.
I believe so.
Somewhere.
It's usually Tim trying to work while we're doing other things in the brewery.
Yes. I probably had to interrupt to ask Trevor a question.
Yeah, I had to unlock his shackles from the canning line to allow him to speak on the radio.
They let me out today.
And I gave him
Very
a
nice.
word limit.
What is that limit?
I was just kidding. You can't give Tim word limit. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, so you guys, thanks for coming here to the official Malting Hour studio. This is where it all happens. This is where the magic is made. And last time we were with you guys, it was the beginning of this year. We came and got to learn a little bit of Old Irving. Matt, you've been here a bunch. We've seen you guys throughout the year at different festivals. We've hung out a bunch. We've come by Old Irving. Now you're here. And what are we drinking tonight, guys?
This is Krampus cookies. The original concept actually wasn't a big old imperial dark beer. That kind of wasn't the initial beer that we brewed. We kind of wanted to brew something that was... I'll be honest. When I first started this thing, I didn't know what a lot of imperial stouts, like specifically in the pastry range, were because I hadn't had a whole lot of exposure to them. And I spill. And
Brandon was so...
It's my bar spill.
Brandon was doing such a good job of like making sure. Sorry to cut you off. Like making sure that everybody was getting a nice pour, and right at the last one, it just splashed all over. That was hilarious.
I remember my first beer. Thank you.
Sorry. Just
No, good. So we started off, and the idea, I wanted to release something, and so around Christmas, and obviously we had just opened in September of 2016. So we created this stout that was kind of meant to, Santa. The idea was Santa gets cookies and milk when he arrives on Christmas Eve to give all the kids the presents. What would Krampus have? And I was like, well, what about a beer that tastes like cookies and milk? And my old job in restaurants, motor restaurant, we would try and recreate flavors all the time. So I was like, all right, what makes up a cookie? And obviously you have flour, malt. You've got chocolate cocoa nibs. You've got vanilla, and and fat, which I am. So some kind of butter. And so we kind of did that, and then of course we did the lactose in there because of the milk part, and it all kind of came together, and it did really well. The Lori Beaver version, and then it wasn't long after that, few distilling, we developed a relationship with them through one of our bartenders at the time, Matt, and they were like, well, you guys should, they kind of pushed us into doing a barrel-aged thing. We're like, all right, well, we got to make a higher-end version of Krampus. So the first year we actually had 2 different kinds of Krampus. We had the low ABV version and then the higher ABV version that was going into barrels. So that stuff went into barrels. We released it a year later. It was pretty hilarious. We had one kind, and it was Krampus cookies. It was cocoa nibs and vanilla. And we didn't think anyone was going to show up. So we didn't really have a plan in place for how people were going to queue for it.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
So our general manager, Rich, was sitting there with like an iPad just kind of standing in a door. He'd be like, well, we'll see who shows up. And literally we had a line out the door waiting to get Krampus. And we were like, oh, people like barrel-aged beer. Cool.
Welcome to Chicago. Baby.
Welcome to Chicago.
Who would have thunk it?
We did not think there was going to be lines. And it was funny because the night before, my wife's best friend's husband, I know it's convoluted as shit, asked me, because he's a big beer nerd. I've never lined up for beers. I never chased beers. I just kind of, whatever was at the store, I grabbed off the shelves and I drank that night. I never collected or anything like that. And Aaron's like, so what time does the line start and where does it start and where's the pickup? And I was like, shut up, dude. Shut up. Okay, yeah, we're going to line first year. And sure enough, there was a line the first year.
That's pretty good, man.
So that's kind of a little bit of a history behind it. Sorry to answer your question a really long way, but there's some.
What did I tell you before we started? I love that.
So Trevor, you know that was
Matt's
actually the
hosting now.
very first. That was the very first time I ever met you.
That's true.
And I guess you apparently messed up because you gave me a free bottle of it before I even knew there was a line too. Because the barrel manager at Few was my wife's best friend's husband, Miguel Gonzalez, and so he's the one that got the barrels. So he brought me over to Old Irving, and he's like, "Have you ever heard of them?" I was like, "No." It's like, "Well, these are our barrels." And so we had been there before you were even open, and you came out and you're like, "Oh yeah, like we just made this. You guys should really try it." And I think that was right before you guys had signed up.
Oh, Jeff got so my business partner Jeff got so pissed that first year that we did it. No, I gave a bottle to every single team member on OIB staff. One bottle, and we didn't have a ton.
Awesome.
Well, of course
And we hand labeled them with everyone's name on it.
That's
That's awesome.
It was actually
every
really nice.
single. Well, we always try to do something. We always try to take care of our team. Our team. Your business is not the tanks. The business is not the mash tun. It's not the drains on the floor. It's not your overhead. It's none of that shit. Your business is your people. And so that first year, especially since it was kind of like cracking the bottle on the side of the ship that would become Krampus eventually, I wanted to share that with everybody. So everyone. And I'm pretty sure Tim was a big part of that. He comes from the service industry, and we're hospitalitarians very first. It's all about service, not servitude. We want to take care of our team. We come from that kind of grinding nighttime. We all hang out at the bar afterward kind of atmosphere, so we know how important and how good it would make us feel to get that. So we did that. There was only one person that got the number one bottle every year because we numbered all the bottles, hand numbered it. Yep. My wife got number one.
So first year were they actual bottles?
Yes,
they were actual bottles, which Matthew very much wants us to bring back.
And I have explained to him I will never do it.
and then out of spite, they sold it.
We sold the bottling machine, so that way
it wasn't out of spite. It was out of hate for that bottling, the 2-head bottle filler. But really, when we think about Krampus and like a total thing, I love it because it celebrates. It reminds me of the beginning of OIB. Obviously, it also reminds me of kind of this culture of like creativity and really hearing one another out in a space. Because Tim here actually created Krampus. And so when I was younger, I used to...
Not the myth of Krampus. I'm not that old.
He was there 4,000 years ago.
You said I looked 60.
So I used to do like this, like it would be like a black piece of paper, and I would have chalk. It was inspired by Rammstein's album Sinnsucht.
Yeah.
And on the album art, they would have faces emerging out of darkness. And we're like, well, what do we want to do for this Krampus label? And me and Tim, we vibe because I'm not going to micromanage what Tim does as an artist, because Tim is also a very talented one. But also, he's really good at like me saying words and then him going, like, I know what you mean. And then he'll come and be like, that's what I meant. It's so cool. And so I said, what about like a demon face coming out of the darkness? He's like, I got you.
It is also hilariously different than my initial design that when we first talked about it and I brought it to you, and I did like a very traditional, like late 1800s German style Krampus thing.
I want to see that.
I probably have it on my computer somewhere. In all honesty, I bet you it's in there somewhere.
I want to see it.
I don't delete things very often, but
You can't find them, but you.
that is also true. That is also true.
Just because I have them doesn't
I'm a
mean
little bit of a
they're-
hoarder sometimes, digital hoarder at least. Anyway, so I had done all this, but we didn't have any. I was not given any direction at the beginning. It was simply we're doing Krampus cookies. Boom, go. So I came with it, and it was immediately that's cool, but so not what I'm looking for. So. Then we sat down and actually.
All right, so maybe I
it.
do micromanage you a little bit.
All right, I would not count as micromanaging.
Looking back,
There was no direction at the beginning. So
no, we had no
Can
idea.
you redo this and make it less shitty?
I like what you did there, but fuck, it's bad. No, that's
Can
really.
you do a better job?
No, and we came up with this, and he fucking nailed it. It was like exactly. It reminds me of the stuff I used to do when I was a brooding teenager, and it's just this face emerging out of darkness. It's menacing. It's evil.
It's a metal album, man.
It's a metal
It's
album.
a metal album.
Thank you.
Can. Like, I mean, it really is. Like,
That's what we're going for.
you guys need
goddammit.
stickers. I need stickers of this. Gotta slap stickers on shit.
Speaking of albums,
I'll work on it now.
I was like, I just looked at you like, why the fuck don't we have stickers, Matthew?
I've got my real quick
Because we just hired Nate again.
I was gonna say,
Shit, yeah, because you've been a little busy.
I need an enamel pin too. Do you guys have those yet? The Krampus enamel pins.
He's got
Beezer
Beezer ones. He
I've got-
made
I've got the
it's
Beezer.
all about
He's
them.
wearing
There's
it.
one right
I
there.
got it on, right?
Oh, yeah, look at that.
I got these guys out. We got a year before next year.
I wore this at Thanksgiving. My family, I got
Love
compliments on it. Like, ooh, cool
So
pin.
what I was gonna ask is, if Dan, have you ever paired Krampus with anything?
I did. It was MF Doom
Yes.
Christmas album called with Cookin' Soul, but called Doom Merry Doom Xmas or something. I can't remember.
Very nice.
That's
That was
awesome.
a couple years ago.
Yo, I appreciate the
like
shit
that.
out of that pairing. That's
Dan,
a
help
good
me.
pairing.
Dan, help me remember to link to that pairing in the post for this episode.
I appreciate that. I'll
No,
do
man,
that.
I appreciate it.
No, that's
so,
awesome.
so what? Real quick before we get back into this, Brandon, which was the first? What was the first one we opened up? Matt, you curated this lineup basically. For us.
Yeah.
You threw it together how we should drink it. But
So this is the brand.
even though I started that with Brandon, what did we open?
you know,
Brandon, never mind.
Brandon,
you can shush Brandon. I'll
Shut the
take care
fuck
of
up,
it.
man. It's good talk.
Matt and Trevor are going to host this show, and
Didn't we already discuss I'm part of the show anyways?
almost, you're almost there.
I'll be in my office.
Honorary.
So we started with one of the brand new ones this year, which is Krampus in the Buff, which Trevor can tell the story of how it came to be in the buff. But this is
Because
just
he was naked when he made it.
Yes,
basically
that's
you know
exactly
that.
actually.
So it's naked barrel, and this has a blend of all the fun barrels that Trevor gets to curate throughout the year and can explain what's happening next year. But what we've kind of seen already happening in the market, and what we wanted as well, is just to have the barrel shine through a little bit more. And this one, I think it's my favorite of this year. Just getting more of that vanilla and more of that oak just pops a little bit more. I love all of the other adjuncts and vanilla and chocolate and peanut butter and everything else, but just getting a little bit more of that whiskey coming through is...
This was the only beer that I went back for multiple times at Fobab.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I think I had it 3 times, which is saying a lot for how many beers are at Fobab.
Which also, going back to Tim and even creating it, which I love the Krampus throughout the years, you'll post a picture later, I'm sure, but all of the labels... what was the first one after? Peanut butter? Peanut butter? No, that was last year.
Peanut butter was new last year. The first variant was Champurrado.
Yeah.
And so on the labels, please explain how you came up with Champurado, and then what we did
Well,
with
hold
some
on.
variants.
If can I interject for like
Absolutely,
2
please do.
seconds?
Please
We'll go to the
So-
Champurrado when we get there.
No. I want to interject about the Champurado thing because
About the label itself.
about the label itself.
Did you micromanage it?
No, it did not.
Yeah, a little bit. So
No.
we had ideas, and so like me and Tim will have our little idea meetings where we just kind of sit there and we dream at a table, and Tim and I have a great relationship, so we can sit there and just come up with ideas, and he'll shoot mine down, I'll shoot some of his down, and then we'll kind of find something. And I remember we were kind of going down the level of like sugar skulls, specifically around Dia de los Muertos and all that stuff. And it felt like we were getting into a territory that was starting to get not good. You know what I'm saying? Like that has to do with
a
a
couple
very
white dudes doing that.
it feels
a little
feels wrong, and
Yep.
and we really had to kind of check. And so I went back and I talked to some of our Hispanic employees and stuff, and I was like, we played Is It Racist and Is It Offensive? And we had very real talks about like, hey, like when you see this on branding and stuff like that, is it a little bit offensive to the culture? And of course I knew in the back of my mind, of course it is. But, you know, I also just was interested in engaging the team.
How deep is it, too? Like,
yeah, and it's deep.
Yeah.
Like, that's the fucked up thing. It's you know, because we, Americans in general with other cultures, we just kind of get to have playtime. And a lot of businesses will just, you know, slap things on coffee cups and mugs from other cultures and not, you know, even bat an eye at what it could mean and how very serious this is to a certain culture. And for them, it's not just a celebration of death; it's a celebration of life. It's very important for the Day of the Dead. And so immediately we're like, fuck that, we're scrapping that. And then I'll let Tim take it over from here, because then he went in a different direction. I was really I mean, this is where all this like sprouting started on the sides. Really cool.
So after we nixed that idea, I went kind of on a deep dive into Mexican textiles. So first I just kind of literally just Googling around looking at like Mexican design.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted something. Champurrado, for those that don't know, is a Mexican hot chocolate, is traditionally what that is. So I wanted something in that design, but that was not obviously sugar skulls and things like that are offensive. So in that search, I found these cool Mexican textiles in this traditional Mexican design, and that's where I kind of came up with this, where I drew this based on a bunch of different designs I found, specifically in the colors and just the absolute, you know, the flowering and everything like that. And then when we decided to start doing more and more variants, we decided to keep that stem pattern throughout, to keep a little bit of unity throughout the branding. And so then we have, you know, Champurrado, the Cocoa Krampus, the peanut butter, all of them have that exact same stem pattern with different flowers or what have you, whether it be flowers or barrels or...
I really like the breakfast one you guys did with the maple leaves. And
that was the one where it was all just the background. That was before we went into the unified theory of our design. Yeah, that was back, like, I believe it was still bottles then.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Well, we were using that one as a base for the sugar skulls, and then we were trying to connect them all.
Yep.
So the maple one with the maple leaves and the coffee beans you're talking about, like in the background.
Yep.
You know, that was going to be all sugar skulls, and that's when we decided to take a very different direction and Tim took a different direction.
Plus, we just, after, as much as I liked that one, we decided, like, the thing that we really liked about the original Krampus cookies was the starkness.
Right,
like, it's
right.
just, you know, black, boom. So we didn't want to do, we kind of decided to go away from that original design, just trying to keep it a little bit cleaner, a little bit less busy. And that's where we came up, again, back to the textile and doing just a very simple bit. And you can actually see on some of the early labels that they were bigger at one point, and we've kind of tweaked them over the years, trying to get it into a more specific spot. And I think we've landed there at this point.
When we go back now to the Krampus in the Buff this year,
Yeah.
so this, you know, what we're drinking right now is Krampus in the Buff. Over the years, we know stouts are becoming thicker and thicker all the time, and this comes from a few pieces, right? People boil down. Your biggest, thickest beers can boil as long as 72 hours sometimes. Whoa. Where brewers will...
Imagine if we did that, Brandon, with the fucking Into the Void. How much sweeter it would be.
I'm not gonna name any names because I'm always gonna make sure I keep my friends' secrets. But I do know some breweries who will brew on a very similar system to ours. They'll mash, boil. The total time they'll end up mashing up to like 6 times. Whoa. And boil down until basically, like, it could be 4 to 6 mashes will fill up a kettle. So
you're talking about Guinness, right?
My boys at Guinness making them thick boys. What we notice is there's a little bit of a line that you get to with viscosity and barrel character, and of course that would happen, right? Some friends of mine have some suggestions about how you can get there, and they're really good suggestions about how much residual sugar you have in Play-Doh and how many months it should spend in the barrel. We have a finite amount of time with Krampus. We have a finite amount of room at OIB, as you guys know. We're an 8,500 square foot brew pub, and we have this very small area to be able. I mean, we line them up along the walls, we stack them. I literally bought a walk behind 3,500 pound stacker. One, to make our jobs a little bit easier on a day-to-day, but two, really to be able to stack barrels. So we have got tons of space up. If you go to IB, we got high-ass ceilings and not a lot of floor space. So, we can't do a whole lot of extended aging. So we started thinking about how can we introduce more oak, more spirit, more character without having to age beer way longer. So what we did is it's kind of Solera-y in a lot of ways, but what we're going to start doing is we're going to start keeping an amount of Krampus behind and doing extended aging that'll probably release as like extended aged single barrel Krampus. Yes. And then on top of that, we're also going to be introducing these very high ABV, very high attenuating Krampuses that are going to spend some more time in oak than maybe they should. So the beer that'll come out of there will be real hot, it'll be real barrely, and it'll be real spirity. And it'll probably, and what that can do then is that you can use that to kind of then blend into the whole, because that'll add, we're going to keep kind of the body, that intense richness of everything, but then be able to blend in. And this was our very first experiment doing this. So this year's Krampus is literally the regular Krampus base, which this year was our thickest and most intense base. Our brewer absolutely killed it. And then we aged that in Heaven Hill barrels. Each one of these barrels were sealed perfectly. They had a little bit of whiskey in the bottom of each and every one of those barrels. It was the best experience filling barrels. We were like looking at each other like, damn, that smells good. This year's going to kick ass. And then we took, and the barrel broker we use has a corner on Old Elk barrels. Newer distillery, newer barrels from Denver. We know we're going to get a lot of like that white oak characteristic. So we fermented Krampus down using this crazy ass like Pac-Man yeast that just eats everything, HA18. And it fermented it all the way down to like 4 or 5 Plato.
Holy shit.
And so it was an 18% Krampus that we then put in the barrels a little bit later.
Aggie's excited.
He's like, fuck yeah, 18%, let's go.
Yeah, sorry, Matt.
Your cat is an alcoholic.
Well, she loves jumping on the show.
I don't know if you want me to reveal the numbers for next year's of that high attenuation, but we have those numbers.
Yeah, we do. So this year's Krampus is going into barrels. The high attenuating Krampus is going in at like 17 point.
Like 17.2, 18.
And so that
means
means
from 29 to 3 Plato.
Yeah.
Started at 29, went down to 3.
So we can expect another 2 Plato pickups. So you're talking 19 into 20 Plato range Krampus that we're going to use to blend in to the total. And so this is an exciting time. So this is the first year we did it. The Old Elk stuff got blended in, and we sat there. We did our bench trials, and we were like, I really love what this brought to the table. It's making Krampus a little bit more dynamic than just your pastry stout barrel. And so obviously Tim in his design added the barrels to the leaves, so it looks like it's spreading barrels. So we're gonna start focusing much more on this single barrel kind of thing.
If it's anything like what this was, which I said, Fobab, like Clark, who's not here, also agreed, and Brandon, like we all said how
R.I.P. Clark.
good this. Yeah, R.I.P. Clark. Sorry, Clark. I gotta be honest. Clark is bummed. He is probably like, I mean, we're all fans of Old Irving, but honestly, I think Clark is probably the biggest fan of you guys out of all of us. I mean, I only know
okay. You can hate us. That's okay.
I don't like you guys. I begrudgingly reached out to Matt and go, "Hey, so are we doing a Krampus episode?" He couldn't hear like how bummed I was. But if what you guys have already done with this, I'm really excited for what next year is going to be, and that whole idea of the single barrel like. That to me is just an awesome idea. I also wanted to point out one thing. You said you and Tim had a really good, have a really great relationship. Yep. But you had also started the evening when saying you unshackled him.
That's true. That's true.
That is an abusive relationship.
So this is called Stockholm Syndrome?
No. First of all,
I just wanted to point that out for anybody.
Come on, baby. You're in Chicago. We're a liberalized place. Like, look, shackles, whips, chains can also mean love.
This is true.
So,
all right,
hey,
point taken.
Whips and chains excite me.
Don't you dare kink shame me and my team.
I'm sorry. But yeah, thanks for thanks for the background on that one. That is honestly, I'm super excited about it.
I was gonna ask one more question, sort of following up with
do
that.
it.
I know you guys are getting the new space. Is that gonna expand what you're doing in terms of like how many barrels you're going to be storing type of deal?
Hell yeah. Oh my word. That new system that we're getting, and you guys are actually probably the first people to know. I don't really talk about. I talk about it constantly in my day-to-day life, but I don't talk about it to anyone outside of the brewery. So it's a
Tribune.
It's literally the only one.
Doesn't count.
But he, we.
Josh. But
But the big one, you asked a poignant question, and it was specifically about the barrel aging program. You have to understand when that 30 barrel system, obviously we can. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make eye contact with you, but I'm also
Dan
I'm
knows,
not.
Dan knows you're
No,
talking
fine,
to
you're
him.
fine.
Yeah. So Dan, I'm gonna pretend you're right here in
Pretend
front
he's
of the
the
bar.
leg lamp.
Just so you guys know, Dan, there's a bunch of us at the bar down in this basement. It's very dark and scary. And behind me is a clown in the corner. He keeps laughing at me, and
That's actually Clark.
yeah, it's weird. I was wondering why he was ball gagged. But we got Dan behind me,
do we say about
and so
Keith
he's
doing?
basically looking at our back. So I have to pretend that I'm talking to Dan while I'm looking at this picture of like 2 barrels. I don't know, getting some kind of rectal examination. So,
Those aren't barrels, my friend.
so anyway, to answer your question about the new space, the build out of the new space, we're going with Quality Tank Solutions, which is a Wisconsin-based manufacturer of stainless steel. Everything's made locally. It's basically the most local place that we can get people to manufacture our brew house. The whole brew house is built around the fact that we're going to be doing long boils and some souring in the kettle. So it's a 4-vessel system, but I've created it so that our mash and lauter tun, or our mash kettle rather, are doubled. So I can boil some wort and still work around it, and then it turns into a 3-vessel system, so it doesn't interrupt production of Beezer, which is what this system is really built for, is making sure that we can brew Beezer efficiently and consistently on our own, and but then I can still boil down and get some great yields otherwise with our big beers. And we will be, grinding our own malt there. We're going to have super sacks, all that good stuff. And we're going to have a lot of extra space for barrel aging. So I'm real passionate about barrels. I'm really passionate about spirits. I'm really excited to see what comes next. Plus, I'll be right around the corner from one of the best. And that's, I'm sure that has something to do with a lot of the inspiration that led us to that exact location. So hell yeah, dude, you're gonna see a lot more barrel aged stuff from us.
I'm also excited. So I know like when Half Acre got their bigger space, they started like doing a little more experimental stuff in their regular normal brew pub. We can get to the next beer, but I'm excited to see what you guys do, to see if you guys do anything cool with that.
Well, the team is going to expand in really cool ways. I think the base of the team, me, Tim, Will, who brews all of our beer, Matthew, a lot of us are going to go to the new space, and I'm bringing on some newer team members that I'm really excited about. That I've kind of very excited about, that I think are going to bring kind of a fresh face. And it's also exciting for me as an owner and brewer to be able to kind of let go a little bit and let people start having the kind of fun I've been having for 6 years at that brew pub space, and let people get experimental and have some fun and show them what they got. And so you're going to see some new stuff for sure, but I'll do my best not to micromanage them like I have done with Tim.
That's out of love.
Don't worry, Trevor. I'll take that over.
All right, there you go.
is there any?
Passing the torch.
I don't think there is now, but is there any thought of like a tap room or tasting room at the new location?
Another great question. So because of the way the city works and everything, our main plan is just to open a manufacturing space first. We want to get that off the ground first. We want to be able to keep up with the Beezer demands in 2023, and also make sure that we're making it the way that, when you have hands on it, people may not know this, but there's an amount of Beezer that is kind of co-brewed with our friends at Great Central. They're awesome. It's a system I don't have hands on, so I'm not able to do the tweaks that I usually do to our stuff like we do at the pub. So a lot of the stuff that goes out is great, and they do a really good job. But we really want to be able to kind of be able to produce it at a higher level the way that we want to, and also have the flexibility to do it on our own. And so, yeah, that's like the biggest point of that. So
Cool.
Yeah.
That was.
But hopefully, eventually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was more of like, is this? I understand manufacturing is first and foremost, and then pipe
The-
dreams.
Yeah. I'm being vague maybe for a reason. I don't want to. I'm very
Don't want
much
to commit to it either. Right?
Well, I'll say this much.
Here it comes. This is it. We will hold you to your fucking word, Trevor.
We're putting in bathrooms.
Yes!
That
Finally! If you guys ever been to the brew pub, you cannot whiz there.
you can totally visit my brew pub.
You need to go there.
No, the new facility. The new facility is getting them.
We're putting in bathrooms in kind of the main area where the brew pub will be. So we're definitely planning on it.
Tap rooms, not brew
For
pub.
the, for the tap room. Yeah, to be clear. So we're definitely planning on it. Eventually, we don't know what that timeline will be, so I don't want to.
Speaking of bathrooms, I don't know why, but my 3.5-year-old son is obsessed with the bathrooms at Old Irving. Every time he gets there, he's like,
Me too.
We gotta go to the bathroom. I'm like, really?
That's because you
Do
gotta
we?
whiz all the time.
And we'll go and like,
I'm pretty obsessed with
he'll
it.
just stand there and I'll be like, are you gonna go? He's like, I went. I'm like, oh, you didn't, dude?
It's actually
It's
actually
he
the
just
best
like, goes in there
place.
and he like wants to wash his hands. Like he just loves going in there.
If you
I'm like,
need to identify a song
very
that's
dark in
playing
there.
over the speakers,
That
I
is the
noticed
place to go.
that is the place to go. Like I'll walk in there, like, oh, that's what's playing, right? I mean, because it's
like sound deafening
lively
doors. As soon as that door shuts, it's
absolutely,
Yep.
can't hear anything
Just
except for the guy
music.
farting and the other guy
nice.
whizzing.
It's a little. Well, the reason that we have the music a little louder in there, we have sections broken up for all of our speakers. There's not the fan in there doesn't make a high whirring sound. And for me personally, like when I'm sitting down taking a deuce, I don't want to hear you taking a deuce, dude.
Fair.
So like I want to hear some music. The worst songs are like the grunts, pain, and farts of like the dude next to me. Like people get fucking weird in bathrooms. So yeah, we're very
bathroom plan.
you know.
We have two
Toilet
people
time
who
is
spend.
important.
We have two people who spend a lot of time in the bathroom.
So if you thought the brew pub bathroom was cool, wait for the new facility.
good.
Hey, what are we drinking right now, Matt?
So we moved on to the OG here, the Krampus cookies. For me, even this year, the barrel shines through even on this one more than it did last year, and I love this one. Macerated Madagascar vanilla, tons of chocolate. Did you increase?
Sorry, I've never called it macerated Madagascar vanilla bean ever, and I'm pissed that I've never used that as a sales pitch because I used to do Matthew's job poorly, and now he does it a lot better than anybody I know. So
He's pretty good.
Macerated is a good word for it. Basically, I take vanilla beans and I blitz the shit out of them. And basically puree them into like my own vanilla paste. I didn't like the vanilla paste that are sold at stores, and I certainly didn't want to use a vanilla extract. Yeah. And I did a little bit of studying, and to all your brewers listening, Madagascar vanilla has the highest vanillin content of any other vanilla bean on the market. So if you are looking for just pure vanilla flavor, that's the one. The other vanillas are going to give you a lot of other chemical compounds that'll taste like other things, which is super cool and very experimental and very nerdy. But that's extra explaining at the door to your guests and other people who are expecting vanilla. So for pure vanilla flavor, Madagascar, pound for pound. We also increased cocoa nibs this year by a lot. They're all organic cocoa nibs that we roast. Basically, that's our way of pasteurizing them. This year I had a ton of help. LJ Bullen, who's a part of our team, a newer member who used to work in the FOH at OIB, they came in and absolutely helped me out. The first time I've had help with our adjuncts ever. Besides Tim.
I'm like, wait a second.
Wait, no.
Oh, the old shackled Tim. Left in the
Tim
background
couldn't get
again.
far enough away to do. No, but I mean like in the roasting.
Oh
and
yeah,
the
I don't do the kitchen.
No.
I don't do kitchen.
No, he fills the bags and stuff and all the shit that I hated for sure. But now I have two people to do this stuff that I hated.
Two more shackled helpers.
Shackled helpers.
Yes.
No, they are awesome though, and what happened was I can now just dream up an amount of things I want in there, and then I don't have to make them happen with my own hands. So
I have thought about this and make it so. I will
Exactly.
be back in 2 days.
They've been ordered. And absolutely this year I think that all of our adjuncts are singing a little bit louder because of that. So a lot of time spent in the kitchen, which is awesome that we have that at our disposal, roasting in the oven, making sure they're pasteurized, then into bags with Tim, and then they go into the tank, and then we do it that way. We don't have any fancy ways of doing it, so we're doing it kind of homebrewer style in that way. Nice. And I think the product speaks for itself. There's a lot of chocolate here.
This
There's a lot of chocolate. Yeah, there's even more than I remembered.
Brandon, you have already tried this, correct?
Yes.
Dan and I have not tried this. We're trying this for the first time. You're actually Dan. This is you trying all of them for the first time, correct? You didn't try. You weren't with us at Fobab because you were not around. I am getting a lot of vanilla from it, like in a good way. Like I'm
more vanilla than we had previously.
Correct. I will say so. Like
alarming.
this to me is
because it's the same amount of vanilla we've used in the past.
Awesome.
Exactly,
and maybe it's
played off the cocoa nib.
I was gonna say, and maybe that is like how vanilla is there to like bring everything else forward.
Totally.
But there was a couple other barrel-aged beers that I've had so far this year where I was like sensitive to the vanilla in a good way. It wasn't like off-putting. It was like, oh shit, this makes me like this beer even more. And I've always liked this beer, but this is top notch. This is very, very tasty.
I know last year's Benthic had some just
Yes.
amazing amount.
Yes.
Benthic, that was just
that was a good one.
outstanding vanilla in that.
Oh, wait,
one.
double
Every time I
Benthic. No,
taste
it's
that shit.
You mean the name we shall not name?
Did not have double.
We did not talk. No, I'm kidding.
Tony, were you good
friends.
Yeah, they're delicious.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the Old Irving guys, Brandon.
Were
It's
you
their
gonna say
show
something
now.
When they were talking about,
Sorry,
Trevor was talking about the macerated Madagascar.
Yes, Trevor. Have you tried other vanilla beans? And the reason why I asked this is, and I know it gives off a fruity quality, but I've had my own extract of Tahitian vanilla beans sitting right now in a white bourbon.
We have 100% used Tahitian, and I loved them. Don't get me wrong; they're great. But like the chemical compound, pound for pound, if you're trying to, because we have so many other things we have to think about when we're trying to get a flavor across to our guests when we're dealing on a scale that we're dealing on. So if I want you to taste vanilla, and we'll get into this more when we go into the other brands here, I have to think about what I'm going to spend pound for pound.
Right.
Tahitian is not only more expensive, but it has less vanillin. And then when the consumer is having it, they might not interpret it as
Vanilla. I've tried it and I used it in a small stout,
vanilla.
and it was very good. But it was like a fruity vanilla.
Correct.
Like it was almost not berry, but almost like a. So I have some sitting. So I was talking to Brandon because Brandon and I have a stout that we do. And we did Madagascar vanilla beans, but I have a Tahitian vanilla bean extract that I made with like a white bourbon.
Oh, beautiful!
That I'd like to use for something, and I think I'm going to save it for a different type of stout. Maybe that is not so much like what you guys are doing here, because that's what our Into the Void stout is. It's like it's basically a cinnamon roll imperial stout that we.
Well, it started. There's a base stout, and then we took 4 big ass cinnamon rolls, like full cinnamon rolls, and mashed those in.
Nice. There you go.
Man,
Hi guys.
And then we use the vanilla bean, and then
That's
we
the microphone
Buffalo
method we
Trace.
call that.
Yeah, that's where the craft comes into craft beer.
The best part about it though was after we mashed out, we sat there and 2 fat guys eating the cinnamon rolls. Right
They were
off
delicious. They were delicious.
Like,
Coming out of the
good.
mash, there was still. I mean, they're from Fanny's. R.I.P. Never forget. They were fantastic cinnamon rolls. And they were actually still pretty tasty.
Cinnamon rolls fucking kick ass.
Yeah, now I want a cinnamon roll. Thanks.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, not sorry.
You know what? I can even name drop who we get our vanilla from, just because it was kind of fun. So
He found them.
I'm that guy who goes on Reddit all the time and does all that.
Dude.
There's a great subreddit of the brewery. You know,
Yep, I'm on there.
It's so good. There's so much good information. Brewers, listen, go on the brewery on Reddit and just like go onto those subreddits.
It was one of the first
Amazing.
subreddits other than our home brewing that I was a part of. And I was reading all the stuff.
so
I'm like,
good.
oh, you guys are real brewers, but I can learn from you.
Yeah, but so someone on there was like, hey, I have a vanilla company and I want to send out samples to people. Anyone want one? Then obviously I went, hey, Trevor, like, we should probably get a sample just to check it out, right?
Yeah.
We now use them. We've now used them now for a couple of years, I guess.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Vanilla Bean Kings is their name.
Got it.
And
If there's a
Write that down.
supply shortage,
It's not
I
just a
blame you,
clever
Tim.
name.
I don't think there is. So they're
Not
spreading
anymore.
their name out. Everyone's using them.
They're the kings of vanilla beans,
But they seem,
baby.
you know, from what I understand, from what I read about them at the beginning, they actually go to Madagascar themselves. They work with the people, the farmers, to get their vanilla.
That's
And
what we
everything.
gotta fucking do, Tony. Let's go to Madagascar.
Yeah, fuck
So,
going to Oktoberfest next year, or Great American Beer Fest. We're going to Madagascar, baby. Real quick, before we move on to anything else, I gotta say we are gotta be real close to the half-hour mark, if not already.
I'm really sorry.
Are we there, Brandon?
Oh, we're over.
I was just gonna say we're definitely over.
No, it's a 3-hour show. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back with these guys that we found on the street.
'Tis
'Tis the season for holiday shopping, and we have some upcoming events that some friends would like to share with you. Saturday, December 10th, Kris Kringle Market at Imperial Oak Brewing, Willow Springs, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Over 24 local artists are set up inside the Savage Oak Room in Willow Springs, and we'll have a variety of unique art and vintage items for sale from local artisans. Come to the brewery, grab a Malort or craft beer, and shop. This market always has a great vibe, and we'll have a tarot reader there. Imperial Oaks Willow Springs is located at 501 Willow Boulevard, Suite 100 in Willow Springs, Illinois. Sunday, December 11th, true to the holiday craft fair and Krampus Market at Blue Island Beer Company in Blue Island, Illinois, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. This market features independently owned local artists and makers that share their passion and creativity in items they make. From cute to dark, this market has something for everyone. While it's a few days late for the official Krampus Snatch, it's never too late to celebrate Krampus. Krampus will be at the market. Get your picture taken with Krampus while you shop. You will find a variety of Krampus-related items amongst all of the artist tables. In fact, there will be over 24 local artists and 2 tarot readers. Blue Island Beer Company is located at 13357 Old Western Avenue in Blue Island, Illinois. All of these events are curated by Beat Streets and the Streets Art Alliance. And we're back!
Welcome back, everybody. It's our...
Should come back to the sex toys.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. We'll circle back.
I was wondering why Tony
That's
kept bringing
the
up
after
shackles.
hours.
Ellen DeGeneres' fist.
Dan.
Sorry.
We're leaving that in. Welcome back to our special Christmas episode. We're here with the guys from Old Irving. We are drinking a whole bunch of Krampus, and we have moved on to number 3 of this year's lineup, which, by the way, so this episode is coming out on December. This is when people are able to listen to this. Is December 4th? Is that Monday? 5th. Damn it! I'm always off one day.
Well, we always post on this 4th.
Well, it's posted that Sunday. Is there anything left, should I say, that will be available left at the...
You guys are so good with dates. I was literally going to interrupt you to say, just so you know, December 5th is when we take all of the extra beer,
That's what I
like
thought.
all of
Okay,
our
that's what
buffer
I wanted to
stuff,
make
and
sure.
we sell it at the pub.
So just so you guys know, like,
Yeah.
what we're talking about right now, I hope you're listening to this morning. You're like, boy, I'm just craving some barrel-aged beer, and you're going to drive to the northwest side over to Old Irving and just get all they have before I get there. Good luck.
I need to get that Krampus burger before it's gone. And those wings.
Are we going to... So you want to go to dinner on
The
Monday?
wings are awesome. And the burger's awesome as well, obviously. But
Things are awesome.
4419 West
what do you-
Montrose.
I want to put in a request for cauliflower
Chicago
wings.
What are you doing on Sunday, Brandon? You got any plans?
I don't think so.
All right, let's go get burgers and wings before the Bears game. Before the Packers game. Anyway, when you guys are listening to this, the Packers already won. We get it. We have moved on to number 3 of the 5 barrel-aged goodness of Krampus. What are we drinking right now, gentlemen?
We are drinking...
I said gentlemen, so I was talking to Matt.
All right, my bad. Matt.
You don't know Matt that well. No.
I can only say what we're doing, and then Trevor gets into
meant
it.
Tim.
So this is peanut butter no bake, and this one Trevor really get into because this was inspired by his own childhood and mother baking cookies or not
Yeah,
baking cookies.
dude.
Sorry, Trevor. Sorry about that.
So Trevor, please take it away. What inspired you? What brought you into this one?
That's cool. I don't really want to talk anymore.
We bonded over
All right, well, I love
That's true. On the break, we bonded over 9 Inch Nails. So the peanut butter Krampus, my mom used to make these peanut butter no-bake cookies. So there's like a piece of me that wants to like keep on doing like Krampus cookie style and like vibing off of cookies. Yeah. But I feel like you're going to meet an end eventually. So we've kind of left it open end. There's some macaroon recipes when you're thinking about cocoa later on, and then like some spicy chocolate stuff that you've seen in other cookies. But this one was very spot on for me, where I was like, what is a cookie that I remember from childhood that has all the flavor components that Krampus has, chocolate, all that stuff. And that would be my mom's no-bake cookies, which was literally like she would take, I don't even know the recipe. Honestly, I've never even asked. But I'm pretty sure.
It's a really great story, Trevor.
Thanks, dude. And anyway, the end. No, she would take peanut butter, and she would take oats, and she would take chocolate chips, and she would like mix it up like almost into a batter, and then she'd basically like do a drop cookie onto a piece of parchment, and then covered in chocolate. And this was kind of the no-bake cookie. You would never bake it. You would chill it.
I was picturing like those, those like, which they are baked, but like those, those peanut butter ones that you just press down with a fork.
No, baby, that's just a peanut butter cookie.
Yeah. So this, I had no, like, as you're telling, like, now I was listening to what you were saying, but I was also focused on the beer because I always go back and listen to the episode. And that's when I listen to the person who's talking.
Well, it's a beer episode.
That's cool.
That's really good for interviewing, is to not listen to the person you're interviewing.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Tim, go back to the goddamn shackles.
Shackles, Tim.
I want it like I heard oats,
Go
chocolate
package
chips,
something.
peanut butter. Like that just sounds like a fucking delicious cookie.
It's a nice cookie, but the cookie is not baked at all. So what you do is you just basically like take all those ingredients, mix them together, let it set, and you cover it in like tempered chocolate. So the outside would be kind of like this beautiful crunchy chocolate. The inside would be peanut butter and oats. And like, all right, well, let's talk about Krampus real quick. Krampus.
Wait. Why have you never gotten the recipe, like full recipe? You just you're like, you know what? I like it. It's fine.
Bro,
This is great, Mama.
There are certain things while my mother is still alive that she still makes that I don't want the recipe for until she's gone. Because I want her to make it. It makes me feel like I'm still a son.
Are you planning on getting it through a Ouija board when she's gone?
Jesus.
A seance?
So here,
Can I have your mom's email address?
funny story to that. So my mom was notorious
necromancer.
for Christmas cookies.
And satanic
the
rituals?
last year she made them, she had really aggressive cancer, and she's like, I'm only going to do a couple batches. She made 26 fucking batches.
Of course she did.
And
Hero.
wow. So we're like,
That's a promo.
she had recipes and everything, and then when she passed, it was like my sisters were like, "Oh, we're gonna bake." I'm like, "Well, none of you can bake. I can actually bake." Like, but they took the recipes or whatever. But she sent them to me, and like I'm looking at this, I'm like, why is there 15 recipes for each fucking cookie that she made? And it's like there's no marking of which one she actually used. So there's like,
Oh, that's awesome.
it's like all like the last 2 years have been trial and error of like, what was the cookie that she made? So we.
And you're like, not this one, not this one.
Yep.
So your
when
mom
you
was
serve
like,
it with
"Oh,
ice cream,
awesome."
it's called the Da Vinci a la
Like her
mode.
kolachkis, like she had there was 2 kolachki recipes and both of them just are not good that I've tried to replicate. Maybe it's just me. My sister too can't replicate it. But I'm like,
You guys gotta
there's
keep
got to
plowing
be a
through 'em,
missing
yeah.
one somewhere, or it's just it was in her head and she like.
I was a,
You want to know why? Because they didn't have like proper measuring cups that you could
Yeah.
buy from your cutesy ass little baking store downtown Chicago back in the day.
Very true.
They'd be like, "You're gonna take 4 eggshells full of freaking milk."
Yeah.
And you're like, that is not a measurement. The eggs.
For them it is,
Do you know
'cause
that
that's what they were
an
using.
eggshell can be as small as what we call peewee, which could literally be a thimble's worth of milk? And then you have extra large, large. You have all these different size delineations. And my mom, literally, for one of her pasta recipes, has like 4 eggshells of milk. And I'm like, that's not
Trevor, my grandma
That's
has
not a measurement.
my grandma has written down.
What if you don't
a
break the egg
smidgen.
directly in half?
Smidgen, yeah.
Also, I never am left
I
with.
broke the top.
I've
Grandma.
never literally ended up with an egg after I crack it in half that could be used as a cup. What the hell?
I'll show you how to break
That's
an egg.
pro.
You gotta work fast, kids.
So my mom makes really good chocolate chip cookies. Growing up, always, and to this day, still makes chocolate chip cookies. It's one of my favorite things. As an adult, though, I learned her recipe. It is the back of the Toll House bag.
God damn it! I was gonna
Yeah,
say
it's
just
the-
all-
Where to Christ every time.
It's the Friends episode.
but it's not
And the
terrible.
funniest part is she even says, she goes, I still don't remember that recipe because it's always right there in front of me, so why would I ever memorize it?
So I mean that's
Good
true.
point.
But
Okay.
it worked, by the way, they're phenomenal. So the Toll House cookie recipe on the bag of the bag.
Yeah.
I was
Tim's
at.
mom's cookies.
Oh,
Yep.
I was at Thanksgiving and I asked my mom. Finally, we're getting at an age now, and she makes chocolate chip cookies. You use a ton of butter to make them good. The edges will get crusty and caramelized and beautiful, and the
Yes.
center will always be moist. No matter, like, you keep them in a Ziploc bag, 2 weeks later, them shits are still moist.
Yeah.
That's because of fat. My mom said she got hers from like a certain Nestle bag or like an old school recipe book that she still carries with her, like an old witch's book, like that one from.
Is it the
Yeah.
Betty Crocker, the red and white checked?
This one is not red and white check. This one's
Okay.
yellow.
Or is it a spiral bound like church book? For,
Bro,
like-
seriously,
There you go.
but like the spirals broke, the church broke, everything went to hell. But she's like flipping through it, and she goes, "Oh, that's right. It's not exactly the same because I use like chocolate chunks and also this." And she starts rattling stuff. I'm like, "This is the problem with home cooks, is that you have to write this stuff down." And I still didn't because I'm a bad son. But coming back to the beer, this one is a no bake.
Oh, right here. Forgot about that.
This involves,
done with it.
The no bake cookie involves no baking. It is a chilled treat, and it's glorious. And you could pack them into kids' lunches. We had them all the time when we were kids. My mom could throw them together, even though her life was in shambles. It was awesome. And so, and honestly, I've tried like a bunch of different peanut butter products. This one actually contains no peanut nor butter in it. This is PB2? I'm gonna say it.
Is it PB2?
It's not PB2 because that would involve peanuts, bruh. This would involve only extracts, and I'm really sorry to say that out loud to you guys. But there are some times
They're very quality extracts.
in a brewer's life where you have to make some decisions, and the brewing is not extract. The cocoa nibs are not extract. The vanilla is not extract. The barrels are not made from extracts. The only extract here is the peanut butter, and I'll tell you why. 2 reasons. One, let's imagine you're at a little bottle share, right? You're one of these soft ass younger kids that have
We're talking about Dan
that have peanut allergies.
Oh wait, no, he doesn't have peanut allergies. I thought soft
Then
ass
he's not soft.
Yeah, I know people my age that have that too, and I'm old, so.
Soft ass.
By the way, Dan's
soft ass people older than me.
Dan's only 18 years old, you guys.
Oh, he looks great. And so
He's only allowed to smell the beer.
So this actually contains no peanuts. These extract professionals are able to make things that taste like peanuts that don't have peanuts in it. This tasted the best. We've done tons of bench trials with a bunch of other stuff. We were never going to do one until we found the right one. So we experiment on imperial stouts at the pub with different stuff. And we've tried PB2. We've tried all this other stuff. And honestly, like, we were getting shit yields. The fat, because there is still an amount of fat in those powders that would just completely deplete your head.
Even though it's small. Even with, like,
Yeah, your head retention goes away immediately.
And
in
honestly,
a homebrew
it didn't
sense, you
taste
can
like
get away
peanut
with
butter.
it, but yeah.
And the thing that people always do is they don't realize what a key component fermentation, whatever you think you have before fermentation goes away post. And so, like, you have to do things post fermentation if you want great flavor. And this is the one thing we found that worked really well. I'm really happy with it. You probably won't be seeing this again in coming years. So this is probably the last year of peanut butter for a minute. Shit. Because we're gonna start getting a little fun in future years.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
Is this the same? Brandon said no. I can't talk anymore. Is this? He threatened to stab me earlier for the glass. Mute. Is this the same process or in the same recipe as last year's peanut butter?
Everything except for it is the same. It is the same product that we used to get the peanut, but just a different beer, which is for me was fun. And I wish we would have marketed a little bit better, because the fun part about doing the same things year over year for people who give a fuck is that you get to have basically we used exactly the same stuff, the same coffee roaster for the cocoa, the same chilies, the same cinnamon, the same peanut butter extract, different barrels, different slightly different methods.
So the reason why I ask is that I felt. And maybe it's because this is pretty fucking fresh. This I enjoyed a lot more than Brandon and I had one over the summer from last year. And not that I didn't enjoy it. I thought the peanut butter was almost like overwhelming.
Yep.
A little bit from last year. And this one, I'm like, man, this is like, it reminded me, that's why I asked about like the peanut butter cookie where you take the fork to it, because there's that peanut butter that had like it's the peanut butter is not an afterthought, but it's blended a lot.
It's good.
Better. Yeah, it's nice, man.
It feels almost like graham cracker. Now that we're sitting down and having it, it reminds me of like honey grams almost.
I will say, I don't know if we're allowed to talk about marijuana on this podcast or not.
It's legal.
This is a great beer after smoking a little marijuana. Oh, right. It's almost like a Reese's peanut butter cup.
I have to imagine there's...
Well, there go our sponsors.
And also...
You can edit that out.
We're not doing that.
Here's a shocker. Brewers smoke weed.
No. Fuck.
Whoa. And do mushrooms.
Whoa, cool.
No, but one of the really things that I love about what we've been doing, and where you're saying the toned down part, is I feel like we're always in between. We recently had some different breweries, I think by recently I mean last year, where we had some of these barrel-aged stouts, and we're like, wow, that is so thin, because they're staying classic to it.
Right.
And then we were at JBF, and I had some of like what everyone searches out, and I'm like, oh my god, this is way too thick. Why would anyone drink this?
Or it's super intense. And
so we always hit the middle, which I feel like is both this like no man's land, and also it's not the part that is necessarily always hyped up by either the hype people or by awards, but it's, I feel like, what everyone loves drinking, because it has what you want. When you say it's peanut butter and chocolate and vanilla, you want all three of those things that sometimes you don't get when it's just all barrel and thin. But vice versa, the people that want just this sickly, sticky hype stouts, you still get those people where this has the body and the thickness and has everything that you want. but it's not on either end. But I feel like it hits what so many people want.
Real quick, Clark did text me either Monday or yesterday, and he said, in honor of the R.I.P. Clark, he's there in the corner with the ball gag, sorry. He did text me that in honor of not being able to make this episode, he did open this up, and he really, really, really liked it.
Did you shotgun it?
Appreciate that.
What's that?
Did you shotgun it? Because that'd be the cool way to do it.
No, but you know what? After when he listens to this, I think the other one he has, he probably will.
That would be pretty dope.
And I'll film it and we'll send it to you guys.
Please do.
But yeah, it really is nice. I think you're exactly right, Matt, about what you said. Like there is that, like, you know, that middle ground kind of you guys. Like I was actually very nervous about trying this because of the way I felt about last year's. Like I said, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. But this is like Tim, you said like a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Yep.
It is like,
but like a better than. Like
yeah,
with real ingredient.
Yeah, it's like it's like if there was a thin layer of peanut butter in there that hit everything that I wanted from peanut butter without it being like, oh, by the way, you're drinking a fucking peanut butter beer.
Yeah. And the cool thing is that like I love sitting. Sorry, buddy. When we're sitting down and we're doing these like exercises with flavor, and we're all sitting at a table, that dynamic changes pretty constantly in breweries, and it kind of brings up an interesting point with who we have at our table this year, who's sharing in this experience and helping us kind of dial in a lot of these adjuncts, and who we had last year. And so, and there's that, and then there's also what I call the COVID effect. And I'm really sorry if I put that on there. Feel free to bleep that out because I know that there's algorithms and stuff.
No, it's fine.
Cool. So
we've got listeners, but no.
I did contract COVID early.
Okay,
before
never
it was
mind.
cool.
Let's go. Everybody, wrap it up.
And I died. It was crazy. Now you're talking to the corpse version of me. No, what happened? There was a very serious thing that happened that was real screwed up to me, and it's funny that we're on the peanut butter thing now because it was a peanut butter thing that happened that made me realize I'd lost my sense of taste. My wife was pregnant with my baby boy who was 2.5 years old now, Griffin, and we were in this like small apartment in Albany Park. And it's not that small. It was a pretty dope apartment. It was big as fuck. Honestly, it was dangerous. It was a dangerous part of Albany Park, though. So anyway, we had a pretty cool place. But I got COVID, and I didn't know I had COVID, but we were just being safe. I thought I had like a cold or something.
Before there was testing, before there was
any of it. Like we were not testing. Fauci hadn't been like, "Yo, masks for real." So people were just out there naked faced, just breathing,
flying on planes,
just like spitting on you.
Going
to
festivals,
licking poles,
all that stuff.
But wearing gloves.
Right, so I got the OG. I got the OG version of COVID, and I didn't feel good at first, and then all of a sudden, like I think it was on day 3 or 4, after 4 days of playing video games, which by the way was awesome. In my bedroom, like on my bed. The worst part was when my legs would fall asleep. All of a sudden, my wife would like come in, and she would like, and she's pregnant. I mean, she's this woman, this amazing woman is like 11 months pregnant. She's bringing food to my door. I'm trying to order Uber Eats or whatever to make sure I'm being helpful because I'm in quarantine. Both windows open in March of all months, so I'm cold, and just trying to make sure I don't maybe kill my baby, maybe kill my wife. Sorry, I brought up dead babies in this podcast. But
it is a first for everything.
That's right. But at one point, she brings me my favorite thing on the planet, which is a peanut butter cup treat during the springtime, which is in the shape of an egg covered in mostly chocolate.
You can say Reese's.
Sweet. Reese's peanut butter cup. But it's like the egg one.
Yeah.
And it's our favorite thing. We freeze it.
There's a lot more peanut butter.
There's a small part of me was like, is he talking about Cadbury egg? I almost thought you were saying Cadbury egg.
Bro.
No, the Reese's
peanut. Then you went peanut butter.
The peanut butter to chocolate ratio is right.
It's perfect.
It's all and you realize at that point, like, these guys have been using crunchy peanut butter for years, and I had no idea because there was such a thin layer, and you really get the... Anyway, I love that shit. She gives me this as a treat. She's like, I'm so sorry you're locked up in there. Here's a little dessert. And it's like the egg. And I'm like, hell yeah. And it's frozen. Bonus. And I bite into it, and I taste nothing. And I was like, that's weird. This is one of those things that the newscasters were talking about. And then I couldn't taste anything. I couldn't smell anything. And so a year and a half goes by. I'm not even kidding.
Oh, fuck.
And it's still not right. And I'm real upset. Coffee tastes like shit. Sour cream tastes like shit.
You're still dealing with it now.
Shit, coffee, and sour cream all actually smell. I don't know what shit tastes like. like shit. And so, like, literally, for the longest time, I could not perceive anything. So, literally, the last year when we were creating the last year's Krampus, I'm basing everything off of people's thoughts, feelings, emotions, and what I think I smell. But for me, last year was subdued. And you guys are all here being like, last year was way too much peanut butter. And it's a kind of a mind-blowing experience right now because my palate slowly but surely has come back. And the way I've been able to get it back in line, wine tastings with my friend Matt Gunlock over at his wine shop, doing whiskey tastings. Obviously, working in beer helps, working in a restaurant helps. But dude, I was messed up. And this year, I thought this was a lot of peanut butter. Man, and so I know I'm getting back on track when you guys are like, this is the right amount of peanut butter. I'm like, I agree with you.
See, I wish Clark was here because Clark had he had the smell and taste thing where like the potato thing. Like
it was potatoes.
Yeah, it was like tastes like metal too.
Yeah,
metal was a big one. It tasted like someone like have you ever
weird?
You know, like when people like
That's
weld.
very weird.
Yeah.
Yep.
They weld,
Yeah.
and you can smell that like mechanical smell, or someone's laying fresh, not concrete, but like the cover up for concrete, like whatever that shit is they put in the alley. The tar.
Oh fuck.
Sour cream, coffee, everything smelled like that.
No, I will say just real quick.
So much weight.
He did have a benefit, which is a newborn baby for about a year when he did not have to smell a diaper because he couldn't smell it.
By the way,
shit, superpower.
So if I got COVID now, it'd be great because I have 2 kittens and their shit is awful.
I believe it.
They're great, but their shit is disgusting. Anyways, that peanut butter beer is really good. Moving on.
Moving on to the next beer.
What's the next beer? It's the most colorful can of them all, as we spoke about earlier, which I was going to say, it is the most colorful can.
It is.
I did, was it last year, 2 years ago, when I did buy everything. Brandon, no, you and I, we had like shared somewhere, maybe me and Clark did. I don't know. I got cans from somebody. I gave somebody money. And I remember going in, it was from you, Brandon.
Yeah.
I remember going into the refrigerator and going through them and seeing all the colorful flowers. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. And I wanted to bring that up during
I appreciate that.
that was
I think
the year
it's
I think that was 2020.
I think you gave them to me. I think you just gave them to me because we were doing it for, here's 1 or 2 for...
It was 2020. I got them in January of 2021 because I remember Jimmy, who works at Microphone, had posted that he was drinking it, and I was like, son of a bitch. I was still pissed. I was like, I completely missed the
That's when you
release
reached out.
during COVID. And Jeff messaged me. He's like, hey, there's still some laying around at the brewery. He's like, if you want. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, just go and tell him Jeff sent you. Came in, I said, Jeff said there might be Krampus. And
that's right, and that was still around the time when
one
we
of
were
each.
doing...
But it was like months
dropping
later.
off.
I was like, okay.
That was around the time of like COVID, we were still dropping off beers to each other.
Yeah,
like, hey, we're going to talk about
it was on the porch.
We always like to keep like a huffle of little tiny amounts of these beers because people come back and like they want some.
And whether it be friends or whether it be whoever.
We're people pleasers first, dude.
I don't know if this is supposed to be a secret, but
oh shit, here it comes.
this shit was on. I saw it on the shelves of Benny's.
So that was a brand new thing that we did this year.
Is it still there? Because I'm going to go.
So I didn't actually even tell.
Not, I'm just
I
gonna
was
talk to
walking
Matt
by. I was
and
like,
come buy
son of
money.
a bitch.
So if you guys want to know,
Secret drop.
so this was something, obviously, based on barrels and how the year goes, we don't know how much yield we're going to get.
Of course.
We brewed not way more, but we brewed more beer than we did last year. I can't promise anything to anyone because, God forbid, we can't. So, under promise, over deliver. And so that's one of the things that we were able to do is after we finally got the yield, after we spent 2 weeks of Tim and Trevor just slaving around trying to get everything ready, I finally got the yields and we had a little bit more of everything that we had. And so this year, they didn't even know. I actually got to go... it was one of the better moments that I've had this year. I got to go to all the Bennies. And
all of them? Like, I mean,
not all of them.
Not all of them.
Every
yeah, there's so many more.
Bennies.
But I got to go to...
He is now Mr. Benny.
I got to do...
Hello, Mr. Benny.
Binstein. And so
Okay.
I actually got to go to
Now
our top...
religious.
I got to go to like our top 10 Bennies, and I went to our top 10 craft bottle shops without telling any of them.
Yeah.
And I said, because I also don't want to just send people without letting them know. And I said, hey, we actually got a little bit of yield. And so we had like 20 cases. And I got to go to everyone and say, I have a little bit that we really want to give as a thank you. We weren't promised anything, but I want to know if you want them. And everyone just over the top.
I bet that was a
just
really
like,
hard sell for you.
It wasn't because it is one of those things where being in this little bubble, you don't want to assume that everyone just wants everything that you make. But the thing I heard from the guys on Beer on the Wall, where Adam Vavrick's now leading it, where they're like, "Shut up! It's amazing that you guys are able to offer." And to hear from so many bottle shops where they're like, "We can get basically anything that we want nowadays," in a lot of barrel-aged beer stuff. They had never been offered any of the Krampus variants, so it was. And we don't publicize it because it's still very, very limited to just the shops that did get it. Yeah. But it was a really overwhelmingly fun experience to have a little bit more yield to be able to
That's a lot
share.
of fun for someone just walking into a Beer on the Wall or Bottles and Cans. You text me and I said I should probably go.
What?
Well, all these guys.
People sometimes don't realize that within a brewery setting, especially when you have a pub or a tap room, that there's kind of this inner. I won't call it a battle, but there's definitely a haggling that happens between Matthew and I, and it is between liquid and how much he gets and how much we get at the pub. And of course, I have to think about what we can serve and how long it can last, and we've actually been able to wrap some numbers around it, and it's much less of a bargaining tool now than it is just a really nice, hey, let's do some nice things. And so, hey, man, let's just sit down, smoke a pipe and figure it out. But no, Matthew is always advocating, obviously, for all of our craft accounts, which is huge, because obviously we want to grow. And, in order to grow, you got to take care of your craft accounts. So Binny's, a lot of your smaller craft beer stores, a lot of these folks that we could give this stuff out to, we were able to. And it was, we just were like, okay, cool, we have it. Let's go. And we had already come up with a number that we're going to release at the pub. And we're like, well, fucking right on. Well, we have some that we can actually release into production for our first time. This is exciting. So slowly but surely on our Instagram account, I'm getting pinged. And I'm like, oh, that's so awesome that they got some or that they got some. And so now we're reaching a wider audience. So all the people can get some of Krampus. But we're...
we did also do a small drop to Tavor as well, right?
Oh, nice.
Sorry, yes. Is that not supposed to be said?
Well, no, that's
surprise,
also
super
exciting. Shut up, Tim.
Edit that out, please.
To the shadow.
So that's also really exciting because Tavor hits 18 other states so you actually
Brandon's already
get
ordered
it from Tavor.
Yes, we actually did the only state I've said Tavor not to send to is they do ship to Illinois. You can't get Tavor into Illinois because we have our wonderful distributors, but that way...
Wonderful, awesome, we love them so much. Oh my God, we love you guys.
But cool, it's so that there are a couple people in Colorado and in Florida and in California this year who are able to get a small quantity of Krampus as well.
That's awesome.
But that is part of the reason is, as you guys saw, we had the number that we wanted that we used with Osner, who's been great. But the people who use that, as you saw, we sold out that quantity in less than a day.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to make sure that people that might not be so obviously sitting on the accounts to buy it up right away, that are in the suburbs, in Schaumburg, in California and other places, had access to it. Because it is one of our favorite beers to make and enjoy and drink with you guys. And so, we want to share it. And so... yeah, we love everyone who's able to buy it and get on it right away, and all the beer nerds and people who love us. But there's a lot of people who don't get that ability and aren't as privileged. So we want to be able to share that as well.
I just got to say, man, every time you talk, I feel like I'm being sold something in the most pleasant way. So there is no way that you
It's almost like he's our sales manager.
There's no way you're not going to. I fully believe
about that. Now you put it that way.
I fully believe he could sell a ketchup popsicle
to a woman in white gloves.
A ketchup popsicle.
White gloves.
Yeah, you know what?
I do declare.
But no, because my mom, I love my mom, but
man.
she is the can sell ice to an Eskimo. I personally do not think I am a good salesperson, because I only sell things that I really believe in and really like. And so that was one of the beautiful things that coming back.
That makes you a good salesperson.
Yeah, you keep on selling even when you're trying not to sell.
No, because there's so many people, and it's part of the reason why we hired Nate Cheeseman, who is amazing, because he's also believes in the product. But
I've worked, sell cheese.
I've worked with so many people who are great at being able to sell what they need, and in the moment, because they know they're going to make money. Again, showing it, not showing it, this isn't commission. Any beer that we sell, I don't make money off it. It's because We want to sell the product that we're behind.
Yeah.
And same thing with the sales reps that we get. We want people who actually love the product as well, because there are plenty of people who are able to sell things that they don't love, and there are plenty of reasons for it, financially or otherwise. But for me, the thing that has a long-term value is someone who really loves what they're doing and really loves what they're behind. And if you don't have that, then why do it?
Yep.
God damn it, I love you, Matthew.
Matt,
God damn, I'm not just sold on my own product. I'm sold on you
I was
again.
Gonna say, Matt, we need more people like you in politics.
What a good guy.
Someone who actually believes in what they're doing, not just trying to sell some bullshit.
I do want to shout out Trevor for getting the Tommy Boy reference.
Thank you.
Tony and I got...
It's one of my favorite. I actually do that quote often with the white gloves thing.
Tony and I got really more than...
We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun that evening.
A couple weeks ago, and we watched Tommy Boy, and we both sat there just doing the lines the entire thing.
So much that we wanted to do our own.
Did I hear a niner in there?
Walkie-talkie.
So we came up with the brilliant idea that we are going to do a special podcast of us
We might get sued,
literally
but-
doing the audio of Tommy Boy.
We should do a line for line.
doing, like-
Just a whole cast. We want a cast of people. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll
I do a pretty good. I do
might
a
get
pretty
sued.
good Chris Farley. So if you guys need me on the show, give me a call.
You got it,
I'll be very happy. I'm pretty good with impressions. Chris Farley is one of my favorites of all time.
We can do a whole.
I got a
episode,
whole story.
go
on Chris
Wisconsin.
Farley.
That's a whole.
My brother's dentist was his cousin in Michigan, is what I'm told.
Trevor, you're opening up a can that we
My
can't get into
brother's
right now.
cousin's roommate. No,
We are 3 days. This is a 3-day long podcast now.
I
We
stood
still have
outside the
another video.
Hancock building the day he died.
Yes, I
It's like the
I was at
extended
Mike's.
version of the Lord of the Rings. I love it.
Hey guys, remember when I said
Tony.
that beautiful can? Oh, yeah.
Can I say
Oh, Dan's still here.
that-
Shit. Hey,
Holy
Dan.
shit! Who's that guy behind
Still
us?
here. I'm still here.
He's just listening to hip hop and watching us speak.
I was gonna ask about how you guys did the chilies because, like, when you first take a sip,
Thank
the
you,
cinnamon
Dan.
comes through.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for bringing
Dan.
us back.
I kind of swished it around a little bit, and like you get the spice a little bit, but it's really like I do get the chili flavor.
Fantastic question. You guys ready for another story? Great.
Yeah, Trevor, I'm walking away from this one.
That's all right. So champurrado, obviously is like a Mexican hot chocolate kind of a drink that is really awesome, and will usually involve what's called abuelita chocolate, which is, I don't know if you ever had it before, but it comes in.
grandma's hot cocoa.
Oh, there you go. That's your grandma's hot
because it was
cocoa.
awesome.
Because it was awesome. And it was usually cinnamon, spices, and it would come in kind of like a puck. And back in my day in fine dining, we made a mole from scratch. And it would involve Valrhona, which was like a French chocolate, and then we'd use abuelita, little grandma chocolate, and we would work that into it. And this came from a Oaxacan mole recipe. And so the 3 chilies that we'd use in the moto recipe was ancho guajillo and cascabel chiles. The whole process of making this mole was long. It was arduous. It would take me a full work day just to make the base, and then not involving cooking and everything like that. But our guests at the end of the meal would want vacuum sealed bags of this mole to take home. It was so good. It was honestly one of the first moments that made me realize I love low and slow methods of cooking, which led to brewing, which led to what we're doing here today. So that always rang true with me. And so when we were making the champurrado, you got the cocoa nibs, the chocolate, you've got the vanilla, of course, and then you've got the ancho and guajillo chiles, which you can get from so many awesome shops in Chicago. And this is also, like, people don't realize it, but like maybe from outside of Illinois and outside of Chicago, this is a massive Mexican population. We have a ton of Hispanic people, Spanish-speaking people in our city. And to not tip the hat when you're doing something, it almost feels egregious to that, because we're eating it every day. We're a part of it every day. My son is literally in a daycare that is full immersion Spanish. His first word was agua. And we speak Spanish to the folks at the daycare, Miss Danny, Miss Patty, all these amazing women that take care of my son every day. And so it just felt like such a piece of Chicago where I felt like I needed to do it justice. And so we talked about some of the design aspects in being respectful, but then really the most respect you can have for a culture are a couple of things, in my own opinion, which is first understanding their language, because that's a direct line to their culture. Understanding their food is another big one. and I've learned more about this world and the people in it through language and culture, through language and food specifically, and drink, than I could have ever learned in any school you sit me down in. And I love that connection to food. I love that connection to beverage. And I don't think I could be more passionate about a Krampus variant than this one, because it is literally just sewn into our blood here in Chicago. So
and it is our original variant.
It's our original, very first variant.
I think it might be my favorite variant this year so far, because I mean, I love, like, sometimes when you have the Mexican hot chocolate, like I've had like Abraxas and all that stuff, and it's good, but you kind of get like spice. Sure. You don't really maybe taste the chili on a lot of this.
I was going to say the same thing to that, Dan, because as we know, I've had a bad reaction with the Champurrado variant of the stout
called
recently.
Champurrado.
What's that?
It was called Champurado.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like I had,
it wasn't ours.
No.
Okay.
No. And I didn't shit. And I didn't.
They're tracking me out.
Remember when I drank this beer and I hated it? No, I had one at a JBF and I didn't put together what it was. I was like, I mean, it's like.
Well, funny enough, when I saw Champurado, I knew what it was because of Old Irving.
Yeah, and I didn't put that together. I just like saw that it was a big Imperial Barrel-aged stout, and it was barrel-aged, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so I got it, and they didn't mention how spicy it was.
Oh, boy.
And it was off-putting to me that day, and I had it again at Fobab, and it was much better because I knew how spicy it was. And they even told me, the guy who was pouring, the volunteer, was like, by the way, this is spicy.
Yeah.
But, like, to what Dan is saying, you get more pepper than the spice. And I really, really, really like that with this.
Well, and Champurado traditionally shouldn't be spicy.
Right.
Exactly.
But I feel like there's some breweries
You
where
should
like,
notice it,
yeah,
but it should not be.
Hey, they're spicy here.
forefront. Yeah.
I mean, there's spicy beers, and that's fine.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
It was- oof.
And I'll be honest, a lot of the chilies, I'm not trying to hit you with that spice. That's not the point of
No.
these chilies. Where we were talking about the vanilla earlier, I'm trying to hit you with vanilla to just give you straight vanilla. With the chilies in this case, I'm not trying to give you straight chilies because I don't think that is a part of the story of mole. I don't think that's a part of the story of this beer. Is not the heat. It is the flavor of these dried chilies. When you're using these dried chilies, especially ancho, the ancho will give you a lot of like raisinated, reductive, really beautiful, like, and it plays so well into chocolate and coffee, which is the base of this beer, right?
If you
got
buy-
a lot of roasted malts, all this good stuff.
If you ever see dried ancho chilies, buy them, rehydrate them, make a nice, like, I want to say hot sauce because you can spice it up because there's a nice little heat to it. But oh my god, it is like not even making a mole, but using just the ancho chili, like it is really, really, really. I did wings one time.
Oh, nice.
That was really nice and it was unexpected. It's the first time I ever used them.
There's a
They're
guy.
not.
there's
They're
a
not
guy,
incredibly spicy.
Yeah.
There's a guy up on like Lincoln and Peterson, a shop called El Carrito.
Oh,
And
yeah,
he
yeah.
does French fries with mole over it.
Oh my god.
So good.
Oh,
But I
sorry,
feel
where-
like
Lincoln and Peterson?
So we're going right now.
Yeah,
feel
so
like-
sorry. Show over.
We're the last
I am
beer.
no joke writing this down
We're
because
not
this
doing
sounds
fries.
amazing.
We're not
French
drinking the
fries,
last
too.
beer. This is it.
I feel like
We're
he
done.
told me that it's like his grandma's recipe, and he uses like
Abuelita?
14 chilies or something ridiculous like
He's
that.
like, Canadians dump gravy and cheese all over their shit.
We're gonna do mole.
We're gonna do
Mole is
the
one of my
Mexican
favorite things, but
gravy.
it's hard.
Mole.
I'm a vegetarian, so a lot of it's like a lot of them use like the ham or whatever. In it.
Yep.
Yeah, but the
So-
mole should not have meat in it.
Yeah.
Traditionally, the
I
hard
think
part.
it
The
depends
hard
on
part.
location in Mexico.
Totally. In Oaxaca specifically, I think they don't usually use that. You can usually find like tortillas and things like that that'll be pureed into it, along with like avocado, sometimes bananas, which is a problem for me because I'm allergic to bananas. But like,
So there'll never be a banana variant of Krampus?
fuck no. First of all,
Tim.
folks,
We're gonna hide one in there. Don't worry.
I want you to listen to me.
Coming in 2023.
I'm not a hippie. I'm not. I'm a metalhead through and through. Stop eating bananas.
Bananas are awesome. Don't listen to him.
God, bananas are so good.
They're so good, and their carbon footprint sucks, and they grow very far away, and the banana industry is terrible. Anyway,
So I should buy more of those little bananas. Thank you. You heard it here first from Trevor.
plantains. But the Champurado Krampus, another thing I'd like to say about it is that cinnamon is a big part of that. We have a very specific cinnamon that we use. I'm not going to reveal it here on this podcast.
Can you tell us off mic though, and I won't tell anybody?
I sure will.
Fuck
But what I
yeah.
can say is that there are a lot of different varieties of cinnamon. You have to pick your favorite. And I have my favorite. So you'll notice a very common line between Cinnamon Pros, Champurado. I don't ever change cinnamons. because I have my favorite.
I feel like I remember you
You
mentioning
shut
it.
your mouth.
Before.
You don't talk. You don't speak its name. It's not very hard to find, and everyone uses it.
Also,
So,
I might have
Saigon?
said it at like every single festival that we
Saigon?
shut up! You don't know my life. Yeah, it's Saigon.
Okay, that's what Brandon and I use for the Into the Void.
It's the best.
It
So,
is. It really
Trevor,
is. Saigon's right.
it might be something I was speaking before.
Brandon, if
but
there's
were
any
you
left, I'll
saying
take some
something
more.
about Saigon cinnamon being like the last
Please, sir, can I have some more?
actual cinnamon from?
It's not last true, but I mean, there's cinnamons that are like fake cinnamon that is made from a specific bark.
Is that Cassia?
Cassia
Yes.
bark is
And
specifically, which still tastes good.
Yeah, it tastes good, but like when we,
It's not proper cinnamon.
Brandon dipped into his wife's private stash of Saigon cinnamon for this.
Stash.
Yeah. Wow. Well, she had a stash that she didn't actually know that she actually
I
had
didn't
more than
realize we
Brandon
had
found.
cinnamonophiles here.
We do.
I wish
in this house, it is. And like,
amazing.
I remember because you were.
That's the good cinnamon.
Yeah, you're like, that's the good cinnamon.
Say
They're
my
like,
good
there's
cinnamon, you
more.
son of a bitch.
And she was like, oh, that's great. But it was like, I felt like we were doing something terrible. I was like, oh my God, we used the good
Well, again, much
Saigon
like
cinnamon.
we were talking about earlier.
Forbidden cinnamon.
Forbidden.
Much like we were talking about earlier with the cocoa nibs that we roast there, we also do the
Trevor,
same
we
thing
should
with the
get best
cinnamon. We roast it all through our ovens in the kitchen, and it smells wonderful. By the way, like warm right out of the oven cinnamon is like one of the best smells in the world. When we're
I
making
try to
this, it's
create
one of my
a very
favorite things.
comfortable environment for Tim while he is chained to the goddamn canning
It's
line.
like aromatherapy. It's lovely.
Okay, Tim.
It takes away from the rashes
It
on my
reminds me of
arm.
Ma's pie. It reminds me of Ma's pie. Eat the sludge and shut up and keep canning my beer.
Tim, look at the flowers.
Oh no!
It's so cool. He's so emaciated, but still here.
You guys, we real quick. We not real quick because we probably like another
doing it
fucking
real quick
45
today.
minutes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Easy, Tim. We're
Good.
friends.
That's a good,
Tim, we're friends. You
gift.
can say that to me. I don't know how you talk. Brandon, what did you just open up? Because it's the last variant of the night.
It is the Cocoa Krampus.
Yes. And Trevor, I'm gonna go to you for this.
Yes.
Should I go
Cocoa
to
with a K.
Can I go? Should I go to Tim for this one?
Whoever you'd like. Tim obviously created the label on this, which is probably my favorite.
I
of
was
the
just going to say,
Krampus
this is
line.
actually my favorite of the variant labels.
Tim,
I love the hibiscus flowers.
Shut up,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Shut up,
Thank you.
Dan. I'm just joking.
Even though our
I had to say something terrible.
obviously
too.
our so this
love
is
you.
coffee and coconut. Our coffee does not come from Hawaii, but
Wait,
I immediately it immediately evoked Hawaii to me in my head, the coffee and coconut. And so
They
that's
grow both of those things there.
they do. And so that's kind of the direction we went with the with the label.
That makes sense.
And I really wanted something a little more subdued. I went super bright, obviously, with the Champorata, but I wanted something a little more subdued on this one. And found this beautiful blue that, yet again, I kind of did a deep dive on like Hawaiian indigenous art and things like that, and they were doing. And this blue popped out really hard that they use a lot. And
Tim,
I
blue is
really loved it.
my favorite color, and that
Sweet.
is like
Thank
that
you.
is a nice blue, and I do like.
There's levels to it, dude.
Yeah,
Well,
there are a couple different blues.
No, I
There's actually
like-
only like two colors.
No,
I try to make it very
it's
as
like the
simplistic
dark,
as
the
possible
light.
while still giving a little breadth of
Wait,
design.
are the less bright ones weed leaves? 'Cause
They are not.
Okay.
It'd be cooler if they were, but they are not.
I will say I do like the whole STEM theme that has now become, as you mentioned earlier.
Me too.
Like I feel like that is a nice way to be like, okay, so here's Krampus, and then when you get to the variants, you're like, yes, here it is. Here's a new stem that we're gonna look at. It's really cool.
So funny, I hate to bring it all the way back to the beginning, but
No,
the
it's fine.
Krampus and the Buff being the newest one was actually one of the hardest ones was trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
And
it's perfect.
I think it might have been Matthew actually that gave me the idea of doing this. And
I like that you guys call him Matthew and we call him Matt.
He prefers Matthew.
Well, we learned that, and we told him, no, fuck you, it's Matt. You're going to be on this show, Matt.
See, I have to work with him every day, so I'm going to keep it Matthew.
Go back to the Oktoberfest episode. You apologized.
You did.
I am taking it back.
That's a throwback to other episodes, and that's what we do at OAB. We make sure that the people that we work with, we're taking care of their whole.
So I'm being held
enterprise.
accountable. Okay, no, you're right. I'm sorry, Matt.
Anyway, so
I'm sorry.
when he first had the idea of doing the barrels to me, I kind of went, all right, that might be a little silly and it might be a little gimmicky, but let me try it out and see what works. And the first couple barrels I did didn't work, and then I kind of did this barrel, and it would that actually kind of works. it's not as silly as I thought it was going to be.
It's awesome.
You know, and I really was I was afraid it was going to be hacky and weird.
All of them, like the whole, like I said, the whole stem concept is super cool, and I think it looks really nice. And it's a nice way to differentiate the variants. And if I can say anything about this variant, this might be the buff is so good, and everything else has also been very good. This might be my second favorite.
Yeah, basic.
No, I'm basic. I'm a basic. You know, this is like it smells like coffee. And then I get like this nice rich coconut in there, and like everything else, which I think is funny because like Buff is so like barrel forward, and then this I feel like is a nice like way to highlight adjuncts. And I feel like it's on the opposite spectrum of each other, and these two are my favorite.
The coffee,
my favorite. Kind of where we bookended the whole thing with.
Yeah. What'd you say, Dan?
I'll say the coffee is so good. Is Hex?
Yeah.
Where? I've seen Hex around. Where's
Oh my
Hex
god,
from?
thank you. I'm so glad I get to talk about Hexa.
Cool. Trevor's back. I'm gonna go ahead and walk away from the mic
awesome.
again for 20 minutes.
We love them.
Sorry, this is you guys heard my love story to Champoretta. The cocoa was literally built around Parker and his coffee at Hexa, and so like obviously there's a lot of great coffee here in Chicago, and I love it all. But there's also like when you're going through coffees, you guys, are any guys coffee nerds? Mm-hmm. You guys are all coffee nerds.
I do pour over everyone.
And just like if you're a vanilla nerd or if you're a cinnamon nerd, there are different varieties that have
Folgers
different
is the best,
flavor.
man. I mean,
Dude, so good. I love the way they grind it into they just turn it into a micro dust that you could literally inhale.
They don't care about the roaches, whatever.
It comes in that very ready to gripping red plastic thing. But the coolest thing for me about Hexa is that it is coffee that tastes like coffee. And when I met Parker, we met him through a guy who is works for Lewis Glen's, who is one of our reps. But I'm remiss if I just call him that. He's like really a brother. His name's Samu Ran. And so we're drinking some Life's Blood. That beer is based off of Samu. He collaborated with us on that. He's probably one of the better or best beer minds in the city that everyone knows about, but he looks like a vampire. And so
because he is one.
He is the immortal darkness.
He is really good at making connections, and he introduced me and Parker, and Parker was exactly a small business owner, trying to make it, loves to wear all black, and is really dedicated to his craft, and he started making these coffees, and obviously what we do are bench trials with the Krampus and coffee, so we bench trial against a lot of different coffees from the Chicagoland area, and what we noticed about Parker's coffee specifically is that it pulled out a lot of chocolate flavor, not only from the malt, but from the cocoa nibs, from the vanilla. There was an acidity level that kind of completed a lot of things for us, and it went brilliantly with this like toasted coconut profile. The funny thing about this adjunct is that these two adjuncts, the coffee and the coconut with the vanilla and the cocoa nibs, actually do blend so well to the barrel characteristic. The white oak with whiskey in it is going to give you a lot of baking spice qualities. You're going to get a lot of vanilla. You're going to get some coconut. You're going to get like a lot of these flavors. So those two things made absolute sense. I think if I'm going to say the hardest goodbye to one of our variants next year, I'm still going to use Parker's Coffee in some way next year. This would be the hardest goodbye because I
wait.
I don't even know this one.
Wait.
All good things must come to an end, my friends.
Wait. Why is this going away next year?
Because I want some new stuff.
Okay, good enough.
OIB. I don't. You guys know where I'm from and what I've done.
Sure.
I come from a culinary background. I come from a place that was always about trailblazing at motor restaurants, stuff like that. You can't just sit on something. I'm glad people like it, and guess what? There's gonna be cans out there that you can buy and you can get. But
the fun part is you can always come back to it.
Yeah.
Like it'll be nice to like try something new because if all of these things, I'm cutting you off, Trevor. Sorry.
It's cool.
All 5 of these are delicious, and again, when everybody's listening to this, today's your day, or tomorrow, depending on when you're listening to this. Like, now's your chance to go ahead and grab it if you haven't. Get these because they all really do taste very good, and if this is any indication of what you already have in mind for the future, and you're willing to take these. I mean, specifically, one I just said was one of my favorites, and just be like, get the fuck out of the
lineup. You actually hadn't made that decision until you said it was one of your favorites.
So it's a personal thing.
Yeah, very much so.
Trevor, you're never invited back. No, I mean, if that's any indication, I mean, the fact that, like, you know, it is such, like, it's been in the lineup for a little bit. Am I wrong about that? Now's a chance to, like...
2 years.
2 years now, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so
3.
No, it's the second year.
Fight.
No,
Fight.
Yeah,
peanut butter was last year.
God
yeah,
damn
that's
it, Trevor.
years.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, but
even Dan's
I
got
think,
my
Nice, man. You should've
I
done it
think
this
that's the main thing that makes it exciting is that we can keep on figuring it out, going from there, talking to people, and I think what we always do is we have a blend of keeping some to what we love and are true of, and keep on refining and making it better. And there's some that we're always innovating and trying to trailblaze. And so you'll always find a blend of both. Because it's a both and for us. It's not having to only be one thing or another. I think it's one of the things that I loved the most, especially when I first started. And drinking Lifeblood, which is a dark bock lager, is that we won gold for a hazy. And I think everyone just expected us only to make hazies and be hype train only hazies, maybe only stouts. And seeing the love that our brewers and Trevor have for lagers, and working with Samu and working with other people, and having Lifeblood be named one of the top beers by John Hall this year, which I love Dovetail, I love Goldfinger, I love so many of the lager breweries, but lagers are growing for us, and so I think it's a both and for us to be able to continue to grow.
Well, and we talked about that in the beginning, or the end of last year, beginning of this year, when we got to sit and talk with you guys. You guys okay?
Sorry.
That's fine. No, you don't have to talk about it. I just want to make sure you guys are okay.
We have no idea what we've done.
I'm pretty sure they just ruined the whole company.
It's been 6 years, okay, people. We don't remember everything we've done. It goes over many
fucking
years.
bottle from what I can see on Untapped.
Yeah, we originally did this in 2017.
So
we didn't realize that we actually did do a small batch of Cocoa Krampus.
Just so you know, this has been around for 20 years.
No, we're
the same age as
my
my
Untapped of Cocoa Krampus. Literally, I was very convinced that we didn't come up with this idea until maybe 2-3 years ago, and the ABV on Cocoa Krampus is 6.5. So I've been Jesus.
So this must have been a very, very tiny batch.
Just everyone shut up and just believe everything we've set up to this point.
Of the original one, yeah.
Anyways, Matthew, we'll go back to our conversation. Yes, I'm looking forward to whatever these jokers next to me come up with. It really is. It really is nice to. I mean, honestly, people who have listened to our show, there's a lot of local listeners. We learned that from Spotify today. Unless you're in Japan or Mexico. Thank you. Other top 2 countries that are listening to
Hola. No, it's Hola. No, gracias, dude.
God,
Jesus Christ, Tim. Back to the fucking canning line.
Seriously, back to the shackles.
Pinche canning.
Okay, take it easy.
Sorry.
These variants are awesome. We've said it. We've posted about it even before we became friends with you guys. You guys are clearly friends of the show, and we enjoy talking. Matthew, Tim, Trevor. We love talking with you guys and hanging out and drinking beers with you guys. We have been big fans of Krampus before that, and really excited for next year. Now that you're taking away some of the ones where I'm like, ooh, this is fantastic. Today's your last day to probably try and get it.
I'll be honest, the Cocoa Krampus, that's news to me as well. Just so we're all aware, that's news to me.
But you have to look at it, if they're taking away beers that are like this good, there's better things on the horizon.
Exactly. Like that's what I mean.
There's
like,
so much. There's a whole fucking world of things you can play with stouts.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the way to go.
Dan, what do you want to see from Krampus next?
And also, what would you want to see hip-hop wise?
Ooh, I want to hear both.
So one time I was in your place.
Everyone turned around
and you guys were playing like Black Star and all that stuff, so I was like,
oh, nice.
Really love it.
I like Black Star.
But no, I was just going to say, I feel like you kind of get like a glimpse. I listened to a couple different podcasts that Trevor did leading up to this just to kind of like...
But this is the best one, right?
Right. And I also re-listened to your guys' episode that I wasn't on.
You weren't a part of the show yet.
I wasn't yet.
And no one's ever invited me into their basement.
Welcome.
I feel like it's like a look, and I don't want to take anything away from Tim, but it's like a look into like Trevor's mind as like a chef and just like doing like the balance of everything.
Oh no, it's 100%. You are 100% correct. You are taking nothing away from me. I purely execute his visions.
Yeah. It's been really good.
They're just friends.
And I was gonna actually say like the whole when you were like talking about how when we were going to the no bake and the peanut butter didn't have peanut in it, I was like thinking of like listening to your interviews when you're talking about Moto and how you're like taking things and making them taste like things that they aren't, and so it's kind of just like it's fun to see what you guys are doing, and it's fun to see or to think about like what you guys are gonna come up with.
Especially with the whole idea of like the extracts of like using the peanut butter extract that doesn't actually have, like you said, like peanuts in there.
It's
and
kind
like,
of blowing my mind.
Yeah,
it
dude,
really tastes like
that's
peanut.
exciting. It's going to be super cool, and we're hyping you guys up for next year. And if you blow it, I swear to God, you guys will never be invited back on the show.
Krampus release, I'm
taking that day off.
I'm gonna bust out my
you said that last
really
episode.
good
the fuck
Santa
up, man.
costume.
Do it.
Come in and just cause havoc and be like, "Fuck Krampus!
Hell yeah!
Oh my
Where's
God.
Krampus? Bring him!"
Oh, wait,
out.
no,
Can we get like the inflatable reference?
I figured it out. There is going to be a rap battle with hip hops.
Can I make the beat?
You guys.
Can I make the beat? Please let me make the beat.
Versus Santa.
Oh
in a
my
fucking
Trevor, can I
rap
make the beats?
battle, dude.
Can I
I
make
am
the beats?
so in for this.
Can I make the beats?
Sure.
I've been making beats for like 20 years. I'm gonna make the beats.
Do it.
I do too.
He was like,
Don't do
Okay,
it. Back
stop.
up. Get the fuck out of here.
boom, boom, chick, boom, 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 chick.
Oh boy.
I can keep rhythm. One
I
last
don't
thing
even
I'll
know
say.
how I'm gonna fucking throw this episode together.
Real quick.
I agree, Kat. You're right.
Real quick, I also want to say that was really nice of people to say about the stuff, the flavors and stuff. My team is amazing, and I am so very lucky and beside myself every day to be surrounded by so many talented people. I'm probably gonna get a little emotional for here for half a second, but my guys and their palates and the way we listen to each other, it's absolutely dope. Every Krampus, everything that we do is all about community. So there's no brainchild of anything. It literally the walls around OIB comes from my team, and I feed directly off of them. And there should be no one that is like the leader or the number one because we are all exactly on the same plane.
I think we all have our strong points, and we all listen to each other, and we know what each person excels at, and we listen.
Look,
to
I was
that
talking
person.
really romantic, so shut the fuck up for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
Go
he
back
was
to your
not
Kenny.
talking about you, Tim.
So
Tim, I'm
also-
pretty sure you were not a part of that. Tim was not
I'm
a
gonna
part of
micromanage
that.
your language real quick.
Right?
This wasn't a point for you to disagree. This was a point for you to shut up and accept a compliment. No, thank you, Tim, for disagreeing with me. I love you.
I wasn't disagreeing at all. I was saying that I think that we all have our strong points, and I think we're all very good at listening to each other when we know what everyone is really good at, and we go, "Oh, hey, you're really good at this. You do that."
Man, you guys are
I
awesome.
will reiterate. I think I posted it on Facebook recently, but from the food to the beer to the atmosphere, and the atmosphere includes the employees and the people that come there.
They're awesome.
Old Irving is an experience, and it's you feel like you're at home when you're there. Everyone treats you super cool and super chill. So
I thought that was Olive Garden.
When you're here,
I
your
want to
family.
say so. They do the burger of the week and all that stuff, and I occasionally will go in there and get the Beyond or whatever the patty is you guys use with whatever that is if it's vegetarian.
Of course.
I would love, this might be more off the mic conversation.
Let's go.
Cauliflower wings because
Yeah.
Dude, you're not the first person to say
That's
that.
actually a good call.
You're not the
all
first
the
person
wing
to say that.
sauces sound amazing.
As a
You
meat
are
eater,
But I
so
can't-
smart.
as a meat eater, I'm on that
so
same.
fun
I'm
fact.
on the same
Same
notes
thing.
too. Yeah.
So we
Cholesterol
got-
sucks.
Can I wrap them in bacon?
So the time that, so at
love
Eris
Tim.
they did.
What if we fed chickens cauliflower?
We did the vegan eruption. So this is the one time I actually talked to Chef Alex, who does amazing things, and we won and we actually put it on our menu, which is now our
Vegan
vegan
spring rolls, yeah.
vegan spring rolls.
Oh, yeah.
But the
Those are
second
good.
best
They're really
thing that came in second place that we loved was our friend Joe Heel, who was the sales manager over at Alarmist, who does a vegan
Alarmist?
No longer there.
No longer there,
those guys.
but
We do love them, and we
He's
love
at
them.
But
No
at
one
the
hates a
same
lot.
time, he did
So that fuckhead
he actually
Garrett.
did a cauliflower ring wing,
It's true.
and he was like,
Gary the cunt.
it takes so long because to actually crisp up a cauliflower wing takes so long, but it was one of the best things I had at the
So
vegan
good.
eruption, and if our chef can figure out how to do the time management with making it, it is phenomenal.
Which I'm
I
sure
don't
Alex
know.
can figure out.
I don't know how
Challenge.
close you guys are to Eris, but they do call.
We're very close. We're very close.
We know they do it.
Yeah.
And we go there before them.
Hey,
closer than
we are
they do
physically
it.
close, and we are.
No, we
emotionally
actually
close.
are like
I just-
actually close.
If they
Oh,
were willing
were,
to drop
were
it
you
in.
talking
I'm
about
quite sure they would be.
distance? Or
You guys
like,
do realize
No,
that.
no, like
Wait, do you guys like do like
Relationship-wise, we were
breweries,
very
like
close. We were
brewing
very
things
good
together and
friends with them,
cooking things
and, yeah.
together?
We do.
In my head, I was like,
No, I just.
how is there not a map in your brain? No.
This is the worst part.
I live close.
I assume he
Walk
meant,
there.
like, are we actually like?
It's no longer
Hey,
a
what's up, buddy?
podcast.
But no, yeah, we're extremely
Five,
close.
six
There was
guys
somebody.
talking
different
about
kinds
things.
of
There was that brewer
This
was
is
in
good. Remember when we did
yesterday,
that podcast with Krampus? It was fucking awesome.
It's like trying to edit The View.
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, this is
It's a
a great
bunch of
time. I mean,
people
we're trying to do
squawking.
this.
Who's Whoopi?
I would say the one thing is like how cool is it, and people don't even realize this shit, is that 1 mile away from OIB, right down the road, is basically craft beer royalty, and people don't even realize this.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me because Michelle Foyk is
She's been on the show.
Fucking rock star.
dude. She has been like one of my heroes forever in craft beer. Literally, Revolution, Goose. You talk about it, she's done
Not-
it. She
not-
opened up places.
I'm not even familiar with those.
She's
two
built
breweries
up
you
some of
just
the
mentioned.
best brands in Chicago, and now she's at Eris doing the same goddamn thing, working even harder probably than she did back
Small
in the day.
world. She and I actually figured out about 15 years ago when I was bartending at a small bar in Lakeview. She was our beer rep from Goose Island, which is just kind of hilarious that we figured that out.
We're actually not familiar
About a year
with
or
what
so
a
ago.
Goose Island is. I don't know what that is. Is that a brewery?
It is. It is.
also part of
They've been
Chicago.
around for a second. You know, they're pretty hot.
They're up and coming.
They're up and coming. They're an up and coming brewery here in
There's a
Chicago.
small part of Chicago called
1980.
Goose Island.
Oh, and they're there.
Yes. Yeah, they actually named themselves after their neighborhood, which is pretty lame, if you ask me.
I know we're in like kind of like the
What
riffing
brewery
area.
does that?
I know. Who would ever name themselves after their
It all
neighborhood?
makes sense now.
Also, by the way, Goose Island, they're homies. We love them.
By the way, Old Irving Brewing, we are in Old Irving Park.
And we also-
4419
we're not
West
on Old Irving.
Montrose.
We're not on Irving.
We're not on
Park.
Irving Park Road, but we are in Old Irving.
They're on Montrose,
But Eris is also in Old Irving Park.
but on Irving.
But on Irving Park.
Honestly, we should be Eris, and they should be Old
Yeah,
Irving Brewing.
seriously.
Yeah, we should flip.
You guys should do a
swap.
building swap.
Ooh.
Ooh, they
They
spent a
do it.
lot of
I don't know,
money
man.
on-
They're
For
fucking
Halloween,
building.
Their place is really pretty, so
I would
I'm
take
not,
it.
I'm not against this.
I mean, I'm really down with the whole, like, let's
I'll tell you
take a
what.
whole Masonic temple and make
Yeah.
it a badass brewery. I was like,
I will take
Hail
that.
Satan.
I will
Hail
take.
Satan.
I will take that building and the opportunity to hang out
Can
with
you make
Michelle
this happen?
Watkins, 'cause
Because
she's awesome.
Yeah.
you know, I'm in.
when she told me, so history with Michelle, I started working at Fishman's in 2012, like doing all of their marketing and stuff like that. And Michelle was the beer rep, and like that's how I met Michelle. And then Michelle left the beer industry to start opening Eris, and she was filling in shifts like bartending at Fishman's.
Yeah.
So like just talking to her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, like we got this old building across the street from a Golden Nugget," and I was like, "I love that Golden Nugget." I was there like every night in high
R.I.P.
school. Like,
R.I.P.
yeah,
I was just gonna say R.I.P. So I also live like
Bring the Golden
I live
Nugget
like 2 blocks from there, so I'm
but then
very
when she
upset
like,
that.
No, you don't.
it's an old Masonic temple, and I was like,
Fishman's was.
mind blown,
No,
dude.
Golden Nugget.
Oh, the Golden Nugget comes straight from. Got it.
But yeah, mind blown. Like
Christ,
opening
Trevor.
up, like
You fucking
the,
gave me
Keep
whiskey.
up, buddy.
the amount of work that they had to do in that building is just to like. But the amount of history they kept and all that other stuff. Oh, you want to do a shot of Underberg?
Yeah.
Apparently, a bunch of people that that used to occupy that building used to love bricklaying. They were masons, and they would just lay bricks all the time, and they were pretty passionate about it.
Yeah.
They had vaults and like all kinds of symbology. It was pretty cool.
They had little secret signs about how they lay bricks.
Yeah.
And they wore like brick rings.
Yeah.
Are we
They
talking
were
about
really into laying bricks. It's so
Wait,
weird
wait,
that it
wait.
was like
Are we,
called
are, we,
bricklayers.
are we talking about the stone cutters? Because
From
I'm
Simpsons.
yeah.
I believe Homer was.
Who keeps the metric system down? We do.
Exactly.
All right, so before we wrap everything up, here's a shot of Underberg because this has just pretty much just
Well,
gone off.
that
the
ties
rails.
it up. You're my best friends.
This
I
is
love
it?
you guys.
Oh,
We
this-
like
this-
Underberg.
There we go. Pass that down. Take
Hey,
it down.
real quick, Brendan, can you let your wife know that I live here now? Cool.
There we go.
I've
Passing
also left my
that.
family, my child.
It's 3 per box. Brandon has these from his wedding, and it's awesome.
When
Keep
did you get
going.
married?
I got married in 2018.
Hey, awesome.
shout out to
So did I.
shout out to Adam Schulte, who now
Oh,
is
yeah.
at Dovetail. He was my guy that hooked me up with these.
You know how I remember You know how I remember Brandon's wedding? Because 2 days later, I had a sciatic nerve pinch. That was cool. I had that going for me. Dan, do you got one of these?
I got
He
one.
does.
Okay, we all got one?
Thanks,
All right,
Joe.
here we go.
Are you the lid keeper, or are we giving these?
Oh
to
no,
Matthew?
these are me.
No, this is it. This is like keepers.
I'm so old. I remember when it was Overberg.
Oh!
Okay. I can't wait for this episode to be over.
I'm a dad now.
Trevor, Tim,
Yeah.
Matthew, you guys, thank you so much for coming by. The actual, this is the official Malting Hour studio, and it's our last double-digit episode.
I'm very proud to be part
We
of this.
started the year with you guys. We're technically kind of ending the year with you guys, but we appreciate you guys coming by, bringing so much beer, especially talking about Krampus, the history of it, what's coming next for you guys. It's just awesome hanging out with you guys. It's been so much fun, and this is the best way probably to end our first 100 episodes, right?
Well,
It was awesome. Anyway, I got one more story.
Okay.
Real quick.
Can you mute Trevor? Let's do a cheers. Here we go
Cheers.
for the Overberg for Grandpa over here.
Salud.
Here we go. Salute.
This is where it takes 21 hours for everyone to drink their Underberg. Notice you hear a lot of sounds, but no one's putting a glass down yet. There's 1, 2, 3, 4.
So,
Damn,
thank
it's
you guys, and hopefully
My turn.
to another 99 episodes and 198 being here, and it's amazing to see you guys at GABF and Alphobab and everywhere else, and it brings me back to when I first heard you guys doing an after hours with Krampus, and you guys mentioning, if someone from Old Irving would just reach out to us, it'd be really fun to have this.
So you're
And-
telling us that works?
That's
It
that's
did.
how like we were on we did an episode once
We're just
and we
like
we were drunk and we live dialed the Lagunitas hotline.
I'm good. Thank you.
They call us back.
That's on their bottle. And we're like, hey, we'd love to hang out. And it was literally right before COVID, and they called us. They called me back, and they're like, we would love to have you guys come by and sit on the couch at Lagunitas. I'm like, awesome. And then COVID hit. I was like, oh.
Well, thank God for Old
like we
Irving
got-
because
Well, yeah.
Matthew followed through.
I thought we got invited to Bell's. Was it their 25th anniversary party that was supposed to happen in 2020?
Oh yeah.
And it was like the greatest honor ever. Like
Okay.
we get this letter in the mail from them that was inviting us.
We're gonna need
as
you
brewers
guys to
the-
show up.
And obviously we were wildly excited and wildly happy.
Trevor has like fists clenched and went
I'm sorry.
face down.
All of us were freaking out.
Dude,
And then of course
Two Hearted. I'm from Michigan. Two Hearted is my favorite beer on the planet.
it's fucking phenomenal.
Two Hearted, still to
Fantastic.
this day, is my favorite beer on the planet. I hope
like one
that
of the
one day I
best
can make
IPAs
beers
on the
as
world.
good as Two Hearted.
Pump the brakes, you already do, but yeah.
Fuck off. I love them so much.
Yep.
And someone said, and I swear to God, this is verbatim. Someone said, the Bell's guys love Old Irving Brewing.
Yep.
And I think we lost our minds. And then they invited us to their party, and then COVID hit, and I was like, you
And obviously the party
Fucker.
got canceled. And then it turns out, we learned from an employee about a year later that what actually happens is they have their handful of breweries that obviously are always there.
It's a perfect representation.
And then they actually put up to a vote among all of their employees who else should come. And we were
That makes it even
we
better.
were voted in. Yeah, exactly. We were like,
This is so much
holy
work
shit.
here.
That means like all the employees of Bell's,
I'm from Michigan,
we were in there. And we're like, we don't know any of you people. Like we
literally never
we
met
have
anyone from
no like personal relationship with any of them.
No one.
You guys.
And we were ecstatic because obviously we have nothing but the utmost respect for them.
I
They're
literally
amazing.
have children now thinking
Yeah.
about
For real.
being invited to Bell's shit.
I just need you guys to shut the fuck up so we can wrap up the episode.
Well,
Yeah,
because
that's
this
you
is
guys
like-
have
Trevor warned you about
Who
this.
edits
Sorry.
it? Who
you
edits
guys
it?
have to
I do.
turn-
I do.
He doesn't
No, I
edit
can't.
it.
I,
Oh, you edit us?
Don't
yeah.
listen to
Okay, so anyway,
so
swear
many-
to fucking
so
God,
many breweries
Dan.
to tap.
I
So let me
hate-
bring you back to the history of brewing.
hate
So
everything
brewing
about
started.
this.
Oh,
This is the worst.
Start here.
We call it Timsplaining.
You know, I'm not. You know what? Dan's actually right. I'm not going to edit it for the 99th episode. That is my thing. I'm not editing any of this shit.
however long it goes, it's how long it goes.
I will say this,
She said.
Trevor, Tim,
Love
Matt,
you.
thank you guys. We love you guys
A
so
pleasure.
much. We've
As
seen you
always,
guys
man.
so much, and you guys have become a big part of the show. Like I said, I will tell you when your beers suck. I will tell
I
you
appreciate it.
when your beers are good, and so will these guys. But you guys are doing great things, especially for Chicago and for just craft beer and beer in general. So
You guys are awesome.
Thank you very much.
It's an honor to have you guys. come with us on this show. So we really appreciate you coming over here.
Dude,
Thank
we'll
you for
come
having
with you
us.
anytime, dude.
Thank you for having us on here.
Take it easy, Trevor. Take it easy. That's cool. Dan,
Yes.
I don't like you sitting back there. I like
I
Clark
it's
sitting
awkward.
back there.
I kind of wish I could see
You guys
you
would have
while
been
I'm
fine
looking
with
at
Clark
that.
sitting
Yeah.
back there, but we need Dan. Dan, this is the last time you're doing that.
I think
okay?
next time we throw a chair over here.
Yeah.
Well, no, next time we throw up this.
We're gonna
little-
throw up.
Oh, the whole thing
You
could
had
work.
it built the whole time?
So this was it for the 99th episode. We were
It makes going
trying,
back and
we were
forth.
testing it out. Yeah,
Well,
it's
then you
a-
just make someone sit in there, and then they're the bartender.
Noted.
I did that for the 100th episode. Aggie.
Oh,
Wait,
Aggie.
Anyways.
wait. You did that for the 100th episode, but this is the 99th episode?
Don't
Time
try
travel's
and break-
real.
Don't try and break this down, Tim. The 100th episode's already been done. Dan, I love you, buddy.
Love you.
Brandon, I love you, man.
Love you too, bud.
That's it. Everybody go to fucking Old Irving today if you can, if you're in Chicago, because they may have some Krampus left. I have no idea. Anyways, stay tuned for the next episode, which is 100. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Cheers.
Jesus Christ. You guys fucking suck.
This has been The Malting Hour. Be sure to follow us on all social media by searching The Malting Hour and at themaltinghour.com. You can also follow us individually on social media. Brandon can be found on Instagram as BMDub81, on Twitter, BDub81, and on Untapped as BDubDrinksBeer. Tony can be found on Instagram and Untapped under Ace of Help Chicago, on Twitter, The Ace of Help Chicago. Clark can be found as Clarkowski on all three. Dan can be found on Instagram as hip__hops and hip hops on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, like, and rate the show on your preferred podcast listening platform. Until next time, cheers from all of us at The Malting Hour.